Hey y'all, where did I put my ring light? Put this on. Ow. Well, I love you. My cat, I always feel bad shutting the door on her. Oh, maybe I should put this here. That's probably better. Hey guys. We're gonna do some live readings again. I'll wait for some people to get in. I figured now is a good time to do some. Oh my god, my cat is pushing up against this chair. I think now is a good time. Let me pull up the astrology charts so we can get going. Oh shit, my laptop's gonna die. Okay. We can get this show on the road. Guys, I keep getting, hi Katie. I keep getting, I think I have like a nerve issue in my neck or something because, well, I've thought that for a long time. But lately I'm starting to get the type of ear ringing where there's constantly wind in my ear. Oh wait, you can't hear me. Hear me now? Am I muted? Wait, let me know if you guys can hear me. Hello. Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's like a wind in my ear. It's in my left ear. It's so bad. And it started like a week or two ago. And I've always like known there's something going on with like my neck. I feel like there's a nerve issue because when I like lay on my stomach, and this has happened for like the last 8 years maybe, when I would lay on my stomach, like if like let's say you're laying on your bed on your stomach but your head is lifted because you're like on your phone, so you're like propped up on your elbows or your forearms, when I do that I get the wind noise. Like I kind of like it almost like makes me lightheaded and I feel like I can't really hear as well. And sometimes I lose my hearing if like a lot of, I guess, blood rushes to my head maybe. Yeah, I think it might be a blood flow issue. I'm just wondering why as of lately it's triggered, because I just woke up one day like 2 weeks ago and as soon as I stood up, very loud wind, and it like didn't stop. Like it was persistent for like the first hour and then it kind of went away, and then I went in the shower and I shower in like excruciatingly hot water and it started to happen in the shower. So, and I'm assuming again it's like a blood flow thing because like your blood's moving and it's getting hot in the shower. But yeah, I'm really trying to be more diligent and responsible with like releasing my fascia, I guess. Like I have really bad body issues. Katie, where did you send it? I want to make sure because I didn't see anything come up. But yeah, I'm really trying to release it more. Oh, Katie, I don't have Venmo. I don't have Venmo, so I'm not sure if it's like a different account. Request your money back to wherever you sent it. Because I got banned from Venmo like, what year are we in? 10 years ago. 10 or 11 years ago. I mean, 10 or 9 years ago. I wonder why someone's using that handle, though, on Venmo. Like, was it under Young Kales? Because now I'm, like, freaked out. But yeah, I'm really trying to release my fascia and stuff like that because I just have always had really bad body issues. Granted, I have an anterior pelvic tilt, so I have a weak pelvic floor, a weak abs, weak ass, really tight hamstrings. I'm assuming I have tight hips, all of that. And I've known this about myself since I was young, like before it was like a trend to work on this stuff. And I haven't quite gotten it right yet. I try to do a lot of mobility stuff, but it's starting to get to me now that I'm getting older, and I'm just starting to get more pinches in my back and in my neck where like I can feel now that I'm getting like the sound in my ear and stuff. I'm like, okay, this is like, you know, I need to incorporate this into my daily routine, working on this stuff because I just feel achy. I've always felt like I'm in an older body than I am, but now it's like really starting to creep up on me. On top of just like general weakness. So I need to work on that. Okay, Katie, I do have a 6th house Saturn, and I'm coming up on my Saturn return. So it's doing its job. And as an astrologer, I see it coming from a mile away, miles and miles away, but astrology is still always right on time, and you never know better than it. It always humbles you. Okay, Katie, let's just jump right into your reading. Please get your money back on Venmo. Like, I hope, or like dispute it with your bank or something, because that's not okay. And then I need to also like report this account, because why are you using my name? Okay, good. I didn't know you could even cancel it. Good for you. Okay, Katie, can you remind me of your birth information when you have a chance? And we can jump right into it. I'm glad I got you today. I was thinking of you actually, because I was like, okay, I stopped right when people are like chilling on their phone, eating dinner, and just got out of work. So I was like, let me try to go on at like 6, 7 today. So I'm glad that I got you. I'm starting to feel a little bit better energy-wise after my infusions, but it comes and it goes. Today I just had more energy, thankfully. Something I'm not happy about is I feel like I'm ravenous with like eating lately, but I'm trying not to have an eating disorder brain in the midst of trying to heal my body. It just sucks when you live in a hot ass state and everyone's so sexy and gorgeous, and it's like the most attractive people ever where you live, particularly in terms of like being skinty minty. But I'm trying to be patient with myself. Okay, Brazil. Oh wait, so Katie, I remember doing a reading for you so long ago, and you didn't have your birth time, right? Did you get it rectified, or were you able to locate it? Yes, both of the ones from yesterday will be uploaded onto YouTube. They just take a very long time. Like sometimes they take a few days because they're long. And YouTube just has like a tendency, maybe it's me, I don't know. I've always had this issue, even with like regular readings that are only like 40 minutes. Sometimes they will take 2 days to fully export, and I don't know why. Oh my God, Katie, I'm so happy that you found it. Okay, so you're a Cancer rising. So the first thing from the jump that's just having to do with you, your identity, your looks, who you are as an individual, your life path, is it's okay. I'm glad that we have an hour window, because I remember we were like, dude, we have to like really guess where you're at. But you have Jupiter going through your first house of self and identity. It's been here since last summer, June, I think June 6th or 7th. I need to stop with the 6-7 in these fucking readings. It has been here for like a year now, so we're wrapping up on the tail end of this transit. It went retrograde for a few months, and then it moved direct not too long ago. So Jupiter is the planet of growth, expansion, abundance, opportunity. It's good luck, it's good fortune, it's celebration, yes. But I think a lot of times other astrologers describe Jupiter transits as like, you're going to become a millionaire, you're going to win the lottery, like just randomly getting the best things ever happening in life. And yes, you can get like strokes of luck with this, but it's usually going to be opportunity that comes onto your path because you're going out there and making yourself available to it. Jupiter's about exploring uncharted territory, getting outside your comfort zone, doing things that you typically don't do, learning things that you typically don't know or explore, really going beyond your typical 4 parameters. So having that go through the first house of self and identity can lead to a lot of soul searching and finding answers and wisdom about who you are, what you believe, what direction you're going in, etc. And Jupiter in your case rules your 6th house of health, employment, your jobs, the everyday, like boring and tedious but necessary struggle of like being a well-oiled machine of an adult. That's the best way to describe it. This is doctor's appointments, it's your diet, it's what time you get up in the morning, it's the things you have to do for other people, it's the actual labor which your job considers, and it's your health and wellness, how you take care of yourself, your workout routine or lack thereof, etc. So within this soul searching and learning more about yourself and your body, it's likely through the lens of your health, or through trying to figure out maybe even direction with job or career if it has to do with employment. And then Jupiter also rules your 9th house, which is similarly to Jupiter themes, traveling, faith, philosophy, education, things like that. So sometimes there can be like legitimate schooling, like on paper education, working with a teacher, a mentor, going back to school, taking a course, investing in some sort of education that is like literal textbook skill-based learning. But Jupiter can also be very philosophical in the sense that you're learning things because you're experiencing them, you're going through them. So the last time you had this was like 2013-14, so there might be something relevant that you experienced then that could kind of be kind of similar to what you're going through now, even if your physical circumstances don't look exactly the same. So yes, with you being in school, the best part about having Jupiter leave the 1st house is that this is, again, maybe a time where someone's in school, going back to school. Education is just a large part of their focus, their spotlight. Once it leaves your 1st house, it goes into your 2nd house. And your 2nd house is about money. And it's about self-worth and personal values and things that are important to you, and assets and investing and building. So you'll be able to take the knowledge that maybe feels slow and strenuous and difficult right now and apply it to a source of income, or monetize it, or in some way it becomes something that nourishes you, even if it's not monetizable. Like if we again compare this to maybe less about money, money, employment and work and like your career, we can say that with the like relevance of it being in your 6th house of health, it's like maybe you've met new doctors this year, or maybe you've done new research, or you tried a new dietary, eliminations, or maybe you got on or off medications. It helped you audit and kind of collect more data of what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and your path in life and nourishing your body. Because while the 2nd house is like money and income, people fail to also recognize that it does rule like what goes in versus out in terms of like, investing into yourself, into your body. When you hear invest into yourself too, people maybe assume that means beauty, or like investing into a nicer bed, and it can be those things, but it's also like the food choices you make are an investment. And that's not also to say that food choices are always an extension of like weight loss or weight gain, but rather like a food allergy, or realizing that you have a sensitivity to something, or that you have a histamine issue, things like that. Doctors, things like that. Anyone that has higher knowledge or an authority of knowledge-based information that's available to you is something that you are more open to at this point in your life, and it's going to help feed you either literally, metaphorically, monetarily, etc. As you move forward. So it makes sense that it's both through the education part, because it rules your 9th house, as well as doctor, medical things, because it also rules your 6th house. So that's exciting, and you'll see the fruits of your labor with that as we get more towards summertime, and that will begin the next year transit of it kind of helping you with money, self-worth, your physical body, etc. The nodes are also going to be moving into your financial sector, so you're going to be having the South Node go through your 2nd house of money, finances, investments, things that belong to you and you only. It's your possessions, it is your self-worth and your personal values and expectations and standards as well. Again, how you nourish yourself or lack thereof. That's why I was like, let me mention health, because I know that that's something that's kind of been looming on your radar for some time. But I'm glad that it seems relevant to you in terms of this. But the South Node going through, sweeping through your second house can sometimes teach you about materialism and your attachment to things or material items, but it can also be a lesson in like not having to do everything by yourself, because the second house is you, what belongs to you, what's in your name, what you invest in. This doesn't have to be financial investments only too. This can be your time investments, your money investments, your emotional investments, your energetic investments into other people, things, goals, whatever it may be. But the North Node, so kind of what you're being invited and encouraged to focus on, is in the 8th house, which is all of these same themes, but now where you share them with other people, or where there's transactions with other people, where there's accessibility to other people's assets, other people's investments, other people's things. So it also has to do with like intimacy, transformation, and letting go. And that's why there might be a bigger lesson around the lens of almost like, I don't want to say materialism, because you don't even strike me as a materialistic person. It's less about this, you know, when we think of materialism, it's like maybe someone who has a shopping addiction or like really values things over value, like actual metaphorical values. And that's not the point I'm trying to make here. If that's relevant to you, sure. But it might be more so this idea of like the obsessiveness and possession around desperately needing to feel secure by making more money, or never feeling like it's enough, or being insatiable, or constantly functioning out of survival mode, holding on to things that you don't need because you think you're not going to be able to afford more, hoarding things, over purchasing things out of fear that you're not going to be able to have it later, clinging to every dollar you have because you don't think you're going to be able to replenish it. You got laid off from a job in January and okay. So yes, this is both financial assets and value as well as metaphorical assets and value. So the second house and the 8th house is like the give and take of where you end and other people begin, what belongs to you, and then what becomes shared assets and investments. So naturally the 8th house is things like marriage, or like you know, a committed relationship, because even if you're not, you know, legally binded together on paper and have like actual legal assets shared together, sometimes you live together, or sometimes you share a car, or sometimes you share a child, or sometimes you had this agreement, or you have a dog, or, you know, there's something that's kind of binding you guys together that is of importance or of value. So especially when you go through a breakup, it can kind of dissolve the meaning of the 8th house and return you back to, oh my God, I need to focus on myself. I need to do all this by myself. I need to kind of bootstrap through this, when you might actually be having like the opposite effect here, where you're actually being invited to sort of relearn intimacy, trust, leaning into other people. And that's not to say being completely codependent, but rather like knowing you can ask people for help, being able to rely on others who are doing it out of genuine compassion and not, you know, trying to manipulate you or have control over you. You definitely want to be careful of codependency, and especially in relationships that are transactional, especially if they are monetary, because again, that's what's ruling these two areas of the chart. But the North Node's going to go over, you natally have like a good amount of 8th house placements. You have Saturn here, you have Lilith, you have your Sun here. So those are two pretty big placements alone, with the Sun and Saturn, and having the North Node kind of sweep through this area of the chart brings a lot of fated changes, both endings and beginnings, but really this idea of change and having to detach and let go around both emotional security and financial security, which is going to be over the span of the next 18 months. Once we get to early fall, that's when this transit's going to start. That's when the nodes will move. You're still experiencing them in your 3rd and 9th house, and that is still kind of touching on like education, your environment, day-to-day tasks, your habits, your routines, things like that. That sort of spotlight, which has been here since the beginning of 2025, is going to move to the focus to the financial and value sector. There might be a lot going on too with like mental health, really the idea of rest and recovery, learning how to, I would say, refrain from burning out and overworking, like learning how to sit in rest and recovery, because you have Uranus, which has just moved into your 12th house. So I want you to think back to last July, because this is the first time that Uranus moved here. So you got a little bit of a preview of it last summer. And you kind of got to experience that until September, October, and then it went retrograde back into your 11th house. So it's been in your 11th house since spring of 2018. And the 11th house is like your larger dreams, your ambitions, your friends, community, who you're connected to, the people that you surround yourself with, the organizations, groups, demographics, all of that you participate in or find yourself a part of. So having Uranus leave this area of the chart can sometimes be a dissolve of like being a part of a certain group, whether this is something as minor as like a friendship or a group chat with someone, to something as major as like your political beliefs completely switching sides and now you're like no longer associating with this sort of demographic, or you leave a church or you join a new organization or something like that. But it also has to do with like your life path, your larger visions, for what you want on a grand scale. So there might just be a pivot or a total switch in direction that you could have got the inklings of last summer, and now the gears will really start to get kicked into place, since it will be here more permanently in your psychological sector for the next 7 to 8 years. So this area of the chart is very psychological. Again, mental health, illness, addiction, escapism, a lot of subconscious beliefs, things that we don't realize are dictating a lot of our decisions in our life, starting to become apparent, whether that be through therapy or whether that be through journaling or just becoming more aware of what is kind of in the back of our mind, been steering the ship up until this point in our lives. So there could be some sort of shock or revelation or epiphany or memory or uncovering of some sort psychologically or with your mental or physical health that completely changes everything for you. And sometimes that can be rough at first. Like, let's say you get a diagnosis or something, it can be the initial shock of like, oh my God, this is making me think of my identity or my life differently. But then over time, it can be something that allows you to be liberated because everything starts to click into place and make sense. Yeah, I think the general oversight is there's exploration within identity still that's going to get wrapped up towards the end of the summer. And naturally, it's been also like, it's worth mentioning, you have a very crowded 7th house of relationships. So Jupiter, while it's been going through your 1st house of like learning about yourself and figuring out more about who you are through your experiences, it's been creating direct tension that same whole time with your relationship sector and hitting like multiple planets at a time. So Jupiter again moved into your 1st house June of last year, and since then, like literally right on its way in order, Jupiter conjoined your ascendant. That's you, that's your personality, that's your life. It's your physical attributes too. Sometimes people gain weight with this transit, or sometimes it's a conception transit, like people can become pregnant with this, or there's an expansion of a relationship. And then right after that, it came into an opposition. So now difficult placement with your Mars, and then your North Node, and then your Mercury, and then your Uranus, and then your Neptune, and then your Sun as well, and your Lilith, like one after another. You have what's called a stellium, a Capricorn stellium, which means you have a big group of planets concentrated in one particular area of the chart. And having Jupiter come into an opposition, so a need for balance, a lot of tension to all of those that happen to be in your relationship sector, like completely exasperates everyone else's participation in your life, being the catalyst to how you've learned so much about yourself. That can be a lot of tension with people close to you, whether it was just your romantic relationship, but also like family, interpersonal relationships, even exes, like thinking back to them and in hindsight, having 20/20 vision and being like, oh my God, I didn't realize that this has been a longer pattern. This isn't something that just started with this person. And kind of learning more about yourself, your path, and your story through the lens of your experiences with the people close to you, for better or for worse. But Jupiter tends to blow things out of proportion. Like, it is a benefic, meaning it's a positive planet. It wants to give you a lot of good things, but because it kind of functions through excess and through a lot, it inflates anything it touches. So if you think of like pumping a helium into balloon, it's like you can only put so much helium in there until it explodes. And Jupiter sort of has that effect too, where even if it comes into positive aspect with other planets, it can overwhelm and create so much excess that it's like, too much of a good thing can become a bad thing. You want everything in moderation. So having such a dramatic aspect to such a dramatic planet all of which are hitting your relationship sector, you're wrapping up what has probably been a year of just complete overwhelm or relationships across the board, filling up your plate instead of having what feels like a normal diversified lifestyle of like relationships, career, home, me. It might feel like it's been like 85% relationships the whole time. And then, that remaining 15% for you where you're like, I'm trying to be better, I'm trying to grow, I'm trying to evolve, but all of this is really taking up a lot of my attention. So again, the knowledge that you gained from that will benefit you as it moves into your second house, because that boosts the self-worth, it boosts the personal investments, investing into thyself, it boosts the, financial income too, because naturally if you start to see more worth in yourself, you invest more into yourself. And if you're investing more into yourself, you usually get it back through getting a better job or saying no to opportunities that are just going to drain you rather than, provide you with more resources or opportunities. So it's all a cohesive story in the way that works. But we talked about the North Node. We talked about those are going to bring the eclipses to your second and eighth house. So trust, transaction. We talked about Uranus. Saturn and Neptune too have also been hanging out in your career sector. They were also here at the beginning of last year. So about February, March, they first entered here in 2025. Again, you got a preview of what they're going to look like more long term. Saturn's going to be here for 3 years. Neptune's going to be here for about 12 to 13. And both of which in the career sector can bring an expansion of moving into a totally new direction or industry or something that's more creative and lucid and doesn't have as much structured hard lines. Like Neptune is maybe someone getting into more of a creative industry. This can be like acting, modeling, writing, anything that is like imagination or creativity or just has more bounds. It can also be medical too. Medical things like more metaphysical, helping people through things that are more esoteric and spiritual. And yes, you can buy one, but I'm finishing this one right now, and then whoever gets the next one will just be next in line. But Saturn being here as well, Saturn sort of has this effect of sometimes initially bringing a dry spell where you can maybe feel like I literally don't know where I'm going with my career the first half of it, or like everything's moving slow, or is this even going to be worth it? The hard work isn't paying off. And then usually by the end of Saturn through the 10th house, you've earned your stripes and kind of have a sense of authority in your work because you've been around long enough, or you've put in the hours, and the success of it kind of comes hard and fast rather than feeling like you're getting it trickled down in an appropriate amount of time or at an appropriate pace. Like it can kind of feel like you're almost, taking 2 steps forward, 10 steps back with the initial ingress of Saturn into the career sector. And then by the end of it, you kind of have this entire story that you've earned that provides you with the authority of being able to, confidently speak on your profession or your position or your experience because you've been through the trenches with it. So it's actually a nice combination. Jupiter through the first house, moving into the second house. So education, finishing up school, and then Saturn into the 10th house is like you're earning your stripes. You've clocked in the hours. This is going to provide you with opportunity that wasn't available to you before because you've done something that is an extra step to earn you that authority. For your relationship sector, so there isn't anything particularly inside of your 7th house, like because you have it in Capricorn, and even just this time of year, nothing's going through Capricorn. Usually more so around Christmas is where that'll get really activated. And because you have so many planets there, you probably will find that every year around November to January is like a very active time for you because they're just getting hit one planet after another. Hi.
Hello.
Do you need something?
Is that hi?
Are you good? Are you drunk? Did you drink there?
Yeah.
Did you have fun?
A lot of fun.
Good. Is the air on?
Donut balls.
You brought what?
Donut balls.
Bought donut balls?
Little donut balls. No, I brought you some back.
Like Dunkin' Donuts?
Similar to
Like,
Dunkin'.
but that's what you're talking
Yeah.
about? What flavor?
Like,
I ate
Sugar.
so much today.
they got the coffee.
Oh, thank you. Can you put water in the thing and heat it up? Thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry. Okay, so I was gonna say, usually around Christmas, November to January is likely highly activated for you every single year because everything's illuminating one planet after another, your relationship sector and all of those planets. So there isn't anything in Capricorn. You have those Jupiter oppositions right now. Saturn and Neptune being in your 10th house, because Aries is another cardinal sign, it's now going to square all of your 7th house placements. So you did have a rougher transit probably last month because Saturn squared your natal Mars and your descendant, which can, honestly, I would say March and April. Because Saturn squared the descendant, that's usually relationship difficulties. I'm glad that you liked it. I'm glad that it gave you answers. Thank you. I appreciate that. Saturn squaring the ascendant can bring a lot of difficulties in like a rough patch or separation to your closest relationships. A lot of loneliness, sometimes some depression there. It did pass over, so you're not having it currently, but then right after that, it squared your Mars. And yeah, Saturn square Mars is very difficult. That is the transit that I always refer to. It's like stepping on the gas and the brakes at the same time. It's like you're trying to move forward, you're trying to do the right thing, you're trying to go, and then there's just something always in the way, or it's something else, there's a new obstacle, now it's this, now you're dealing with this, again, 2 steps forward, 10 steps back. Or it can be the other way around where it's like you want to rest and you're not trying to change, you're not trying to move forward, you're like, can I just take a breather? But something else is like consistently saying you can't sit down too long, like you got to get back up, now you got to face this, now you got to deal with this. You're having a planet that's like very structured and sobering and doesn't care about emotion at all, coming into a hard aspect with this energy that feels like a rebellious child on a sugar high. Like they clash very badly when they come into a square, and it can feel like you're literally being just like pulled in both directions. You want to rest, but you can't. And then you want to move forward, but you also can't do that. So stepping on the gas and the brakes at the same time, you can't do much. Or like being in a straitjacket and being shot with adrenaline. Like you can't really do anything about being stuck in that position. Thankfully, again, that's behind you. I don't think it's even going to retrograde over here, so you only had to deal with it that first pass. And then literally as of like a few days ago, it was square your nodes, and your nodes are the fated trajectory changes within your relationships. So there might have been this like karmic understanding of the larger lessons, or at least reflection on why you're going through what you're going through now and better understanding them. And it has this like, I have to be an adult about this, mature, necessary, but this sucks sort of effect on understanding what you believe about relationships based off of your experience now, and learning that you have to make different decisions practically moving forward. Like, and that's not to say either that your relationship problems are like to blame on you, like, oh, you should have made better decisions. That's not it. It's a wisdom, it's a maturity gained through, like, you had to go through those things to get the maturity and the wisdom that you now have to move forward more efficiently in the future for your benefit. Yes, I'd be happy to help you with that. And then Neptune's still here, but it's moving really slowly. But Neptune was also just recently square your ascendant and descendant, which can, while you're dealing with this rough patch of the relationships, it can blur your vision to where you might not be seeing things clearly. Like you might be romanticizing this person, or you might be escaping into the drama of this stuff when you're supposed to be focusing on something else, or you might be pulled into like a depression or a mental health crisis thinking it's about this person when really this person represents like so much more, a much longer running story in your life that's like subconscious. And again, that's where Uranus moving into the 12th house like wakes up all the subconscious things that have been like hiding beneath the surface and unveils them for you to now deal with. Your chart does still reflect you focusing on those things. I would say the most difficult thing that you're going through right now is it's going to be a forced lock-in. Like it's going to have to be this is going to be one of those periods in life where it's going to pay off. Like, I'm not worried about you at all. It's going to pay off. But one of those tougher squeezed times where you're like, oh my God, give me a break. And it will get easier over time. But because we're still in the initial ingress of like Saturn newly and freshly gracing us in Aries, and you're feeling the first hits to all those planets, it's like the first cut is the deepest. But you will earn your stripes. I can tell you that. And you will not be the same person in, I'll say even as early as 2027, but by 2029, totally new person. Probably like a take no shit, more head bitch in charge, like man-eating cutthroat woman. Which I'm excited to see you in that position, honestly. I love it. But I think that's what I'm going to leave you with. I like this for you, honestly. It's just one of the growing pain transits. Yes, we can set that up, honestly. But I hope this was helpful for you. And I'm glad that we got to catch up. And I'm so glad that you have your time now. Like, that was such a big blind spot, and this has made things so much clearer in understanding your chart. So even just for your own information, I'm glad that you know what your rising sign is, because now you can check your horoscope. Now you can have some more clarity with that. But I love you too, girl. I hope you're doing amazing and doing better, and your health stuff's getting figured out. Did I have someone next in line? I don't know. Okay. Yes, it does. It helps immensely because you can see at least what areas of life are like getting activated. Guys, this is what I mean. Like, even sitting here hurts. Like, really bad. Should I have a 7 p.m. coffee? I really like need it lately to get through the day. Excuse me. Yes, I did three rounds of iron infusions. It was a half dose, so I need to get my blood work soon to see how much it affected my, because I have really low ferritin, so I'll be able to see numbers wise like how much it helped with that. I know, so I just paid out of pocket, like I literally just went to an infusion clinic, but I've heard, yeah, Katie, no, you need to go. You need to go. If your ferritin's a fucking 9. Mine was at 13, 14. And my iron levels were okay, but my red blood cell count was really high too. So I'm like at risk of more blood clotting because the ferritin was so low. But you need to go now. And this is like the exact conversation that happened. The person who told me to go was like, you need to go now. And I put it off for like 6 more months. And I fucking paid for it. Literally, like, I started to hit rock bottom health-wise. I was having panic attacks, really bad anxiety, just emotionally scattered all over the place. It definitely worsened my PMDD for sure, like made me more evil. Nausea, being so tired all the time, but also not getting good sleep. Bloating all the time. Really pale, like, really bad periods, really bad periods, like genuinely being like half passed out during my periods. Cramps were worse, started getting headaches, all of that. So I got 3 infusions of Venifer, which is like the cheaper kind. And I'm starting to feel better now. And like, I didn't think I was, but in hindsight, when I think back to like a month or 2 before I got them, I actually was like really not okay. If you can't do Cash App, I can do Zelle or Apple Pay. I guess Zelle. Zelle is probably the safer way to do it. Yeah, like the symptoms, iron plays such a large role in everything. It delivers oxygen to your brain and your heart. So if you don't have this iron stores in your body, you just start literally dying. Like you're slowly dying. And I'm not being funny or dramatic, like that's what's happening. My friend who told me to get the infusions, her ferritin was at a 2, and she had to go to she got rushed to the emergency room and had to go to an emergency hematologist, like one of the best in the country, because she was literally passing away. Yeah, I don't have Venmo. I can do Apple Pay. Hold on, let me see. If you're waiting for an online order, you can just give me your order number here and I will get in touch with you. There's usually a 2 to 3 week wait upon booking though, just in terms of like how quick I can do turnover, because I'm usually booked like all the time, but sometimes is worse than others if like something went viral or something. About the Gemini reading that mentioned health and I'm sick now. I'm sorry, girl. Gemini risings are starting to get hit with that Uranus transit too. Pregnancy transits, yeah, is it adenomyosis? Yes, I'm pretty sure I have that. I need to get like a proper diagnosis, that or endometriosis. 3624. Okay, I can't look up your order on this laptop, but I will look at it after and I will get in touch with you. 3624. 3624. And I'm gonna write your handle just in case, for whatever reason, which it won't happen, but just in case I need to get in touch with you through here. Of course, thank you. Are you a Rihanna stan? I'm kind of getting ate up on Twitter because I did a prediction last year about Rihanna that she had a cheating transit, like that sometimes you get cheated on or you go through a breakup. And that she was going to have a rough spring of 2026. And of course, when I tweeted it last year, people were like, you're a fucking hater. Oh my God, you're obsessed with her. People always think I literally don't care about celebrities, guys. Like, I don't. The way that it works for me is I know everyone is really invested parasocially in celebrities. And so by predicting on them, it renders attention. And then over time, when I'm correct about something, people think, oh, if she was right about them, someone she doesn't know, then maybe she'll be right about me. And that's like how I've always gotten my clientele. People think I'm like paid off sometimes. People think I'm like, I have an agenda behind me, or that I'm like a hater. And I literally couldn't care less. Yeah, political stuff I don't even really touch anymore unless it's like a very, very obvious given. Like with political predictions, it's usually the only thing I'll touch anymore is just Trump assassination attempts, because I've gotten them right nearly every time. My Zelle is, I think it's kmoneyenterprises@gmail.com. It should come up for that. Not even, it's like, yeah, obviously stands, like that's a given, but sometimes it's like grown people who just like, they genuinely get upset. And I'm like, unless it's something like mean-spirited, because you know something I really don't like, that I see other like spiritualists or astrologers do, is they'll say like I don't believe in the whole, oh, I've always had a bad feeling about this person, or this person has dark energy. Like, that is mean-spirited to me. I try really not to say anything ever unless it's evidence-based. Like, even when I would do my little deep dives and stuff, like, it's always jokey. Like, it's not supposed to be serious, you know, like, that people who are in the entertainment industry, they're there to entertain. They provide entertainment. And, like when we would talk about blind items, or like, you know, the tea is this and this happened, like it's always in a hee hee ha ha way when I'm saying it, unless it's like genuine printed fact. Like, it's kind of insane to me that people run with things just because they came up with it in their head. If they don't like a celebrity or something, like that's the stuff I don't touch. Or when things are like ridiculously frivolous. Yes, Katie, you can DM me on Instagram, because I have you, like, it'll come up right away. Let me check my Zelle. I'm sorry, I don't really ever use it. The only reason I had Zelle was literally because I literally got it because that was how Megan Fox wanted to pay for it. And I was like, don't worry on it. Let me make one. Let me see. Can you log into it on a computer? yeah, the $85 readings are the live ones, and I don't time them. You guys can tell me, like, I'm assuming it's probably like 15 minutes maybe. Like, I just say everything I say, and sometimes it's quicker than others, but I just say like literally every single thing that's popping out to me. I don't like withhold a limited amount of information or something like that. Do astrologers actually make a lot of money? It depends. Just like any other job, it depends. It depends how active you are, if it's your full-time job, how much you're charging, how many clients you have, if you market yourself, your clients, if you do referrals. Yes, you can text me, Katie. Sorry, I'm checking on the Zelle. It might be under my phone number. Hold on, let me check really quick. This is gonna pause, guys. I'm not off the live. I'm checking my Zelle. Hold on. Hi. If anyone needs to use Zelle, it is under K Money Enterprises. I knew I had it under there. At Gmail, by the way. which site am I doing the astrology readings on? I do them on Astrology, so I can see like a live transit chart. But I might get off, guys, so as long as if there's someone else who wants a reading right now, let me know now and we can do it. Otherwise I might hop off and I might come back later. But I'm having that like wind in my ear again and it's bothering me so bad. What is everyone doing? What is everyone eating for dinner? I ate so much today, but I want to eat more. I might make salmon carpaccio with some jalapeno. They are $85. But let me know if there's anyone who wants one. I'd like to do so in the next few minutes. That way I can take a break. And I might come on later, but I'm also not going to promise that because I very well might not. Kid Cart, I checked the Zelle and it is K Money Enterprises. So I'm not sure what to say if it's not coming up, but it's K Money Enterprises at Gmail. Isabella, do you know where you're sending it? If you're sending it, let me pull up Cash App again so I can make sure I'm not missing anyone. Okay, yeah, tell me if it comes up, guys. It should. Hold on. Tell me if it comes up first, like before sending it. Just make sure it's available. I like never really use it, and I like, I don't know how to explain this, but like I had it linked to one bank and then it moved to another bank, so I don't know if maybe that's why it's like having a complication. But oh my god, dude, my ear is ringing so bad. Preferably Cash App just because the Zelle is like making me nervous, but let me know if it even comes up. Like, does my Zelle, because the Kid Cart, the other guy just said that it doesn't come up. Just a little bit. I need to get a fucking bank here. I hate using this bank. It's my K Money Enterprises. So exactly what you typed, but there's another S at the end. Multiple enterprises. K Money Enterprises. But otherwise it is spelled correctly. I can't wait to eat a fucking donut. This fucking light is so bright. I guess I should make an easier Zelle name, TBH. Excuse me. Let me know if it comes up for you guys. There's always a lone fly in this room. I don't know why. Okay, good. All right, let me see really quick on here. I want to make sure it just came through. Yes, Kayla Murphy. Kayla Murphy, very Irish name. That's like something I've been considering lately, is changing my name to my mom's maiden name. Hold on, this thing. I hate when it makes me do the puzzle piece thing. My mom's maiden name is Pra, and I'm always like, does Kayla Pra sound better? Give me 1 second. I'm just making sure I've got it on my end. And then we can jump into the charts. Guys, sometimes like I understand the goal with sending your placements, but it doesn't, like I would need to just see your chart to say anything of value. Dude, why isn't my fucking laptop working? Okay, let me just check really quick. Okay, I got both of you. I think we're doing kid cart first. So I just need your birth information when you have a second, to the closest accuracy possible. So it's your birth date, time, and city that you were born in. And then I can pull up the chart for you and we can jump right into it. I wish I brought chapstick in here. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. That's the one thing, I'm just so fucking tired nowadays. Okay, let's pull that up for you. This laptop, guys, it's killing me. It's a 2017 MacBook, and I'm using this one right now because my other one is like needs to get repaired, and it's killing me. It's so slow. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm literally just waiting for it to load. April 15th. Again, so many April and March babies in this chat. I feel like that's all I've been reading for. April 15, 1989. 2:46 p.m. Yes. Hi, Danny. I feel like I'm getting paler with this ring light when it gets dark out in here. Okay. Okay, kid cart. I haven't looked at Hailey Bieber's chart in a minute. If you search her name on my Twitter, she has a pregnancy transit. I know I said that. Okay, kid cart, you are a Virgo rising. Virgo risings and Gemini risings the mercurial risings have been coming to me a lot lately, Virgo rising in particular, because you are wrapping up a transit that for quite some time might have felt like you were getting your ass beat. And I say that because you're having the South Node go through your first house. And for you in particular, you're born in 89, so you're actually having your nodal return. So, okay, how to explain this? Nodes are not planets, they're mathematical markers in the sky, and they go through the first house and the seventh house. So the first house of self and identity, who you are, what you look like, your life path, you as an individual, and then your seventh house of relationships, the people closest to you, regardless of the nature of the relationships. They do not have to always be romantic, just people that you are very close to, on the same page as, even sometimes your open enemies that you're competitive with. And when you have the nodes move through these areas of the chart, it starts an 18-month cycle chapter of having to prioritize and lean into where the North Node is, so in your case, in your relationship sector, and then having to let go of, shed, or release where the South Node is, which is your first house of self and identity and who you are as an individual. So what that means is that you are going through an 18-month chapter of needing to redefine relationships through experience with people close to you, for better and for worse. This brings a lot of fated changes. So sometimes it's people you've been close with forever, like starting to leave your life, not even necessarily very unexpectedly, but sometimes it is like, oh my God, I never thought I wouldn't be close with this person. It can be distance, it can be a falling out, it can be circumstances, it can be identity shifts, it can be things practically just getting in the way. It doesn't always have to be this big dramatic fallout. Sometimes it can be, though, as well. And then the South Node going through the first house is kind of asking you to look in the mirror in terms of seeing how your participation within your closest relationships might be problematic, like where you might be the issue, where you might be the problem, or even outside of your relationships, where you need to identify things that just no longer resonate with your identity. You can't take them with you. They're not helping you. They're not helping you evolve. They are weighing you down. And in your case in particular, despite that already being a very personal transit to you, having your nodal return means that the nodes in the sky, where they were the moment that you were born, is where they're also coming into contact in the sky. So they're going to be in the same exact place as they were the moment you were born, which is going to happen around your age for everyone. But having that is like a double whammy. It's like heavily reinforcing these themes, because this is the grand span of your life, that this is a big lesson for you. Learning how to let go of self and self as an individual, just identity, doing things on your own, being alone, and leaning into and prioritizing intimacy, trust, partnership, compromise, teamwork, trust, collaboration. And so this is like, in the grand scheme of things, a big life lesson for you across the board, from the moment you're born to the moment you die. Like, one of the biggest promises in your chart for your entire lifetime is these lessons, but they are like getting plucked to such a serious degree right now, because you're having what you have natally for your whole life also happening in the sky, if that makes sense. And this happens about every 18 years or so. So I want to say it's 18 years, maybe it's 36 years. Maybe I'm mistaking that, but it's a big deal when it happens, because it's not very common. You only have it a few times in life. So yeah, a lot of those major changes and outgrowing patterns and stuff might be through the vessel or through the lens of your closest relationships. They have come into, well, even right now particularly, they're in a direct T-square, which is like, imagine it as, you know, they're directly opposite one another. A T-square is them coming into direct contact, like electrocuting one planet from both ends. Your natal Jupiter, which is like personal philosophy, your faith, your beliefs, your spirituality, really like deep emotional lessons in your career sector. So there might even be something that has to do with career or independence, or your public image, your reputation, the way you're perceived, the legacy you want to leave in life, the way you want people to view you, the impact you want to leave on people in a larger way, might have something to do with this, where you're thinking about the way you impact your closest relationships and thinking like, what does this say about me on a grand scale? Or, okay, even with your job, if it has to do with any job or employment changes, this is a good thing, because this is a very positive planet. So even if you don't see it right now, you likely will be opened up to like more opportunity, whether that's like travel opportunity to advance, to go back to school, to learn something new, to have a mentor, to advance, to promote, to get promoted, you know, things like that. this person's a Virgo rising. So maybe if you're a Virgo rising, you're going through similar things, or if you were born in 89, around spring of 89, you might have some similar stuff going on. But it's also worth noting too that Uranus, so Uranus is the planet of like change, unpredictability, things coming out of left field, totally shaking the table and pivoting your life unexpectedly, just also moved into your career sector. So this is exciting. It can feel very unstable, but this is an exciting chapter of like 7 to 8 years for you of likely being tossed around professionally, like doing jobs that have nothing to do with one another, totally pivoting into a brand new industry that you are not familiar with, or having one job that is like not adjacent at all to another job. It can be that you get thrown into an industry that you didn't plan to. Or like, finding your footing is going to be a big lesson with this. And because it's a slower moving transit, it's going to be a while of this. And that's not to say, like, if you're having a hard time right now and you're uncomfortable and you're like, oh my God, did I bite off more than I can chew? Or like, am I even capable of this? You will find stability within the instability, but oftentimes it can be a period of what feels like juggling, like you're just doing a million things, you're throwing things at the wall. But it can be very experimental too, because this planet has a lot to do with like authenticity and liberating yourself, like doing things that feel very real and authentic to you. So it can be a journey of instability due to the fact that you're kind of consistently auditing like what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at, what you're not good at. And really at the end of the finish line of this in the next 7 to 8 years, landing in something where you're like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be at. And naturally the next transit after that moves into like your social sector and your social network and who you're connected to. So you can look forward to the fact that as you find your path professionally and in your career life and in terms of like your public image, your reputation, you're naturally going to land socially around people that get you and truly understand you and are just like you and are on the same path of you as well. So that's exciting, and that you can look forward to that. It's been in your 9th house for hindsight the last 7 to 8 years. So it's been there since spring of 2018, and that was going through an area of life that has a lot more to do with like studying and traveling, faith, belief, education, religion, politics, ethics, like your mindset, the way that you view the world based off of your experiences. So as it's made its way into your career sector, the first time it actually moved into your career sector was summer of last year, but it was short-lived. It was like a little preview, a little taste test, but now it's going to be here more permanently. But as it leaves that belief sector and moves into the career, sometimes the trade-off is that there's a new change in your career sector, but it's at the expense or sacrifice of like, you can't have the same lifestyle you used to have, or you need to start being more open-minded, or you need to put yourself out there more, or you need to be more brave with changing your opinions or sharing your opinions, things like that. You also have in the North Node too, so again, what you're supposed to be focusing on and prioritizing. We talked about it really taking up a lot of space in your relationship sector since the beginning of 2025, but as we get into late summer, early fall, it's actually moving into your employment sector. So again, even if you don't feel it right now, there's like going to be a lot of focus and extra attention on what you do for work, the labor of which your work requires, how your work aligns with your purpose, what your work says about you, etc. There's going to be a lot of focus and connection on how you are of service to other people, helping other people, what your daily lifestyle and routine looks like things that are maybe boring or tedious to think about, but are necessary to like create this machine that's going to work for you and kind of provide you with a brand new lifestyle. So you can look forward to that. A lot of that too has to do with balancing when you're pushing yourself too much versus when you're not doing enough, and like when you need to rest and make sure you're preventing burnout versus when you need to get a little bit more serious about your everyday routine in a way that supports your long-term goals and things like that. And your health, your diet, your sleep schedule, things like that. I'm sorry guys, this fucking fly, it like is sentient. Like I feel like it is here to torment me. It's in here every day and I don't know how. What else? Jupiter is currently going through Jupiter's expansion, abundance, opportunity, It comes, wherever Jupiter is transiting, it comes to expand and inflate that area of the chart and give you more opportunities to say yes to things that are outside your comfort zone or take you beyond your typical parameters. So it's been in your 11th house, which is your social network, your friends, who you're connected to, your professional contacts, your larger visions and dreams for life. So you might have like started to make a lot more friends since last summer. It lasts about a year, so it started last June and we'll have it until the end of June this year. But sometimes it allows you to make new friends, expand your following online, or notice that you have more influence and impact over people than maybe you thought you did. It can align you with the right groups, communities, a board, a club, a friend group, an organization, a religion, a political party, like any sort of way that you can be filed into a demographic. This sometimes gives more attention to that area of life. And Jupiter also rules your 4th house of home and family, as well as your relationship sector. So this might have a lot more to do with like your social contacts and maybe redefining a sense of home or comfortability with people socially in your life. It could also be traveling a lot, or learning something new, learning a lot on social media, learning from a mentor, buying courses, things like that. Some advice I would have is that you want to create more of a budget and, or at least a structured understanding of what's coming in versus what's going out with your complicated finances and your resources, especially if you share or have a transactionary relationship with other people, whether that's a roommate, whether that's a marital partner, whether that is someone you're indebted to or they're indebted to you, whether that is your relationship with the bank and taking out loans or paying your taxes. It's money that you owe, money that's owed to you, and both literal and metaphorical debt that is on your plate versus what other people kind of owe you. And Neptune here can sometimes be the lack of boundaries. So there's a conundrum where it's like, you can be confused or not really know what's going on, or have very loose boundaries with trust and transactions, while you're simultaneously being guided to like take it more seriously and become more structured and set more rules and boundaries for yourself to prevent any sort of like fraud or losing things or deception or trusting the wrong person or having the wool pulled over your eyes, etc. There can sometimes be a dissolve of these things too around literal or metaphorical debt or loss or death as well. Other than that, Pluto has been taking up space in your employment sector too for the last since 2023, but became more permanent, I would say, in 2024. And this can also bring you into an industry or some sort of work that is heavier, more intense, transformative, taboo, has to do with secretive things, government jobs, power and control dynamics, things that require more psychological or emotional strength to some degree, things that are like research, like interrogation, sometimes like spying on people. Like it can bring a lot of different unique taboo themes to the career or to the job, or maybe to the role that you play, or even like deceptive, transformative themes to like things regarding your coworkers or your clients or your authority figures or people that you report back to, things like that. But I think that that's the main takeaway I would give you. Really, what's going on is very work and career focused, while simultaneously learning how to trust your discernment with trust and transactions. And you'll have a little bit as we get into summer, fall for the next year of like an introspective period where it may feel like things are slowing down or you're spending more time alone or you're more in your head, but it's going to be a necessary period of self-reflection in order for you to have what over the next few years is going to be sort of like a rebirth. It's like you're kind of going in the cave to hibernate for a little bit, get some internal work done, and then you'll be able to pop back out and be a lot more sure of yourself, a lot more confident, a lot more assured in the direction you want to move in and the impact you want to leave on people, all of that. But I think that's what I'm going to leave you with for now. I hope that that was helpful. Hey! Sorry, when my cats have nightmares, they literally get nightmares and they wake up and they start crying. Hold on, she's meowing. And this will get uploaded on YouTube too, so you can rewatch this in the future.
Are you okay? You okay? It's okay.
have, I forgot the name, but I know that we had one more girly pop. Excuse me. It was Isabella, correct? I am doing live readings. I talked about hantavirus on Twitter. Like, if the question is like, are we going to be in a full pandemic again? I don't work in epidemics. I don't work in pandemics. I'm not a doctor. I don't work in medical. Astrologically, for right now, I don't think it's gonna, manifest into anything similar to COVID, impact-wise. There's things that point to like illness, virus, stuff like that, but I don't think hantavirus is the culprit of what's going to be the next like crazy pandemic. I have one right now. I have Isabella, and then we can do you after if you would like. Thank you, Isabella, for sending your information. Let me pull up your chart. August. We got an August baby in the chat. Okay. And thank you guys for being patient with me with the Zell. I know that can be annoying sometimes. I don't know why it's like wonky for me. 1996. We got a Miami girl. Let's go. So many of my clients are from Miami. Ow, fuck. 11:27 p.m. Can you believe it's May? Like, I think it's unbelievable to me because I've literally been like ill this whole time, and it just feels like so much time has flown by against my will, but I cannot believe we're already like nearly halfway through the year. Oh my god, my Mahjong app just told me someone mentioned me. How do you mention someone on Mahjong? Thank you. Is it Sima? I don't want to say your name incorrectly. But thank you. I got the notification that you sent it. We'll do yours right after. Okay, so Isabella, you are a Taurus rising. What's the first thing I want to say for you? You're having a lot of psychological stuff going on, because Aries is really the area of the chart across the board, like the sign that has the most concentrated energy right now. It did start to break apart as we got into May. Really, like March and April was so much concentrated Aries energy. So in your case, Aries rules your 12th house, so this is very psychological. It has to do with mental health, rest, recuperation, burnout, illness, addiction, escapism, all of the heavier 12th house placements. Sima, did I say Sima or Sima? Sima, right? Sima. Okay. So yeah, very psychological. The 12th house, the best way I can describe it, thank you for confirming. The best way I can describe it is that the 12th house is everything you cannot see or touch because it is not tangible, but it is real because it is something that we feel internally. It is a human experience we can all relate to, and the reason everyone collectively knows that these experiences are real is because they are part of the human experience. So I know that sounds very vague and word salady, but that's what the 12th house is. It's very vague and word salady because there's not human language you can use to describe it. It's feelings and experiences that are internal. So this is things like heartbreak, this is grief, this is addiction, this is fear, this is insecurity, this is escapism, this is pain. And it doesn't have to be inherently bad things. It can also be like a spiritual awakening. It can be euphoria. It can be like a sense of, connection to God. So when you have things go through the 12th house, the influence of that planet is going to really dance on the line of these things that are far more psychological and having to do with your mental health, which can be difficult to go through solely for the fact that you have to have really, really great explanation skills to inform the people around you that you're going through these things. Otherwise, it will be a lonely internal experience that doesn't make sense to other people. And then people are just going to like get annoyed at you and get bothered by you because you're going to start to act out of character because you're in here where people are only dealing with you out here, and it can feel like you're becoming a nuisance or like an inconvenience, or you're like becoming, I'm literally thinking of like the rose dying emoji, and people are just like, oh, why is this happening? When you're like, if I could explain it, I would. Like, if I had the words to, you know, put this on paper for you, I would. So you have had Chiron here for years. You've had Mars here for like a month. You've had Saturn here for a few months. It came in here first time February, March of last year. You got a taste test of that. You literally just had your Saturn return, and you have Neptune here as well. So first of all, I want to say congratulations on having your Saturn return, still being here with us. That is a very difficult transit. It's a nice coming of age precursor to your 30s, and I always say your Saturn return is like a second puberty where there's a fork in the road and you kind of reap all the benefits and rewards or consequences of the way that you've made decisions and lived your life up until this point. And that's not like victim blaming if you've been in a you know, some difficult circumstances where you're like, oh, okay, it was just my fault, I guess I chose all of this. That's not what I'm saying, but rather that Saturn is very sobering and forces you to look at things very objectively and practically without any emotions or fears or insecurities playing into it, so that you can better strategize what is the right way to move forward, because you've seen how it goes both positively and negatively with the way that you usually make your decisions. So your Saturn return, when I say fork in the road, it's not like a true fork in the road. It's usually going to be a mixed bag of both positive and negative things right before you turn 30. And you know, sometimes people buy their first house, they get pregnant with their first child, they get engaged, they get married, they have those like coming of age milestones that sort of define true adulthood. But other times it's where people who have cut corners and gotten away with things their whole life finally face consequences. They have to go to rehab for the first time. They're in so much debt. Sorry, I literally just got restricted. I don't know what I said, maybe addiction. The person they've played with in a relationship for 10 years finally like truly leaves them, and it's, you know, a sobering wake-up call for them. In other ways, it can be someone that's had difficult circumstances their entire life finally gets it easy. They finally have their big break. Things finally pay off. They finally meet the love of their life. Their career finally launches completely. So having your Saturn return in your psychological sector might feel like you kind of get a flopped outcome, where like you might look at other people's Saturn returns and be like, oh, they got this out of this, or like this thing happened for them, where you might feel like you can't quite put your finger on your experience because it's internal, it's upstairs. On top of that, this can actually be very rewarding, because while on paper with your physical circumstances nothing's changing, maybe you're in the same house, you're in the same city, you have the same job, you're in the same relationship, you might still have this like very strong internal mental health or emotional evolution that only you know about, or that other people who are very close with you have been like front row seat to over the last few years, where they're like, you have come so far, or like, you are not the same person anymore. You know, this thing used to upset you so much, or you used to be so controlled by your insecurities, or you know, you used to struggle so much with this thing, and now you're like, oh my God, I'm not, you know, being beridden by the shackles of these mental limitations anymore. In the sense that you just recently had it though, okay, I was gonna say, in the sense that you just had it like so painfully recently, it might feel like, I have nothing to show for this, or like, yeah, sure, maybe I'm like not the same person, but I also am not who I want to be yet. And it can kind of feel like you're having this falling flat energy. So I want to encourage you to try to in some way quantify who you were, maybe even like 2 years ago to who you are now. Because yeah, you're having your Saturn return, but Saturn, first of all, was just in a conjunction with your moon like at the end of 2024 and early 2025. That is like arguably harder than the Saturn return. Like, not everyone has that at the same age, but Saturn conjunct the moon is like very, very difficult. It's very depressive. It's very lonely. It's very isolating. It usually makes someone incredibly anxious or depressed. It can sometimes bring illness or sickness to the body image issues. It was in your 11th house. It could have been like friendship falling outs, feeling like you're alone, feeling like you are socially like far removed, a lack of a sense of belonging collectively, like in the larger grand scheme of the world, and just like, you know, not feeling like you found your place in life yet. And Neptune was also going over your moon as well. Those transits are so difficult. So I'm not really worried about you with your Saturn return, even though it's already behind you too. Like you have the grace of knowing like it's literally already behind you. But those are arguably so much more difficult. So you need to like pat yourself on the shoulder with that, because Neptune and Saturn going over the moon and your natal Saturn, not easy. And they came into a goddamn opposition with your Mercury too, which is like a lack of communication, restrictions in your environment, or the ability to go where you want to go, or do what you want to do, or say what you want to say. It can bring issues with siblings, with your job, with your health, with your employment. Again, friendship falling outs. It can bring a sense of depression, really bad thinking, very negative thinking, the inability to see the silver lining. And you've gotten through all of that. And the reason you might feel like you're still having a hard time right now is because Saturn is going over your south node, and your south node is all of these deep karmic unresolved things that are still haunting you mentally. So a lot of this likely has to do with things that occurred in your past, your childhood, your youth, all of these subconscious like memories or fears or insecurities, or things that you have tucked down, pushed away, brushed under the rug, put in a box in your head, and like literally gotten it very far away from you. So it can feel like you have these last final steps of having to pull something out like by its root in order to like truly kill it. And that's where I would recommend something like therapy. And if you're like, girl, I'm in therapy, or talk therapy doesn't help me, I would upgrade and promote yourself to like some sort of either somatic therapy, like with the body, like truly trying to get it out of your body, or doing something like EMDR, or something where like you're genuinely having like a practitioner guide your brain into rewiring itself, because these are deeper themes that are like not recent, but truly embedded in like deep in your mind from longer running stories. And you want to, you know, become aware of those things, because they can dictate your life if you don't address them. Love it. Okay, you're completely on the right path. And Saturn too is like authority figures. It just came into a square with your natal Jupiter in the 9th house too, which is usually going to be metaphysical or like esoteric practitioners. So that was like honestly 2 weeks ago, if even 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago maybe, that it came into contact with Jupiter. So that's good that you have like someone to look up to, someone leading the way. I would also say that that's just a good choice, because sometimes going down a path where you're rewiring your brain alone is like daunting and intimidating, because you should have someone supervising you and like kind of seeing that you're doing okay and like tracking your progress. But what's good about this is that yes, it's the south node and it can be very draining. You might be very exhausted and very tired and very burnt out. When you clear the south node out though, it's like you're moving out of your childhood home and you fully clear the attic. Like once you get through this transit, you're not gonna have to worry about it for like 30 years. So that's at least something that you can be happy about, is it's like you're doing those final steps of like clearing the gunk out of your psyche. Uranus too just left your first house. It's been there since spring of 2018. So a lot of unpredictability, instability, unexpected changes, and unusual circumstances with you, yourself, your identity, your relationships, who you are, what you look like, your life path since spring of 2018. So about 7 to 8 years. And right now, like right as it entered back into Gemini, which I think was at the beginning of April, it opposed your natal Pluto. So this is very strong, pivotal, deep transformative changes that maybe have to do with your relationships, but likely those more deep traumatic, like psychological taboo things. You're having a lot of the unseen realm being activated for you. And I know that that sounds woo-woo, but it's like the areas of your chart that are being most activated right now aren't necessarily practical matters, but rather like deep things going on in the mind and in the heart. Uranus moving into the second house too can really shake up your resources and your career and your money and your income, especially because it's in a trine. So a very supportive aspect to your natal Uranus, which is in your career sector as well. Hold on, I need to let my cat out. I'm sorry, I have like 2 more. What is that? Yeah. I needed to keep me going. Thank you. Oh, I like the texture of them. No. I want to enjoy it. Thank you. Sorry, I told you guys I needed a donut. I am doing ratings. That is my Cash App. There's one more person after this one. And then I can do yours. Oh my god, those are so fucking good. So a lot of your things are deeply psychological. Hold on, I'm sorry. I know some people don't like the sound of eating. Uranus moving into your 2nd house shakes up the finances, the income sources, how you take care of yourself, your self-worth, your personal expectations, standards. But it's in a supportive aspect too. Your natal Uranus in your career sector, in your public image, your reputation, how you carry yourself, the legacy you want to lead in the world. So there can be what is like an authentic pivot or shift to what you do for work, to the way you present yourself, or to like maybe having this newfound thing where you're like, I'm gonna start taking care of myself in this way, or I'm gonna stop fucking with people that act like this, or I'm gonna start setting a boundary in this way in my own life or with my relationships with other people. Monetarily, there could be a surge of newfound money coming in. It might be something where you start to budget. You might make money in unexpected, unusual, or like in unstable ways, or you might start like gambling. And if not with like actual money, you might be taking a gamble on yourself. I know that sounds interesting, but like there might be some level of risk or letting go of things that you've maybe been previously attached to for a sense of security and safety, and now you're releasing yourself of them. Because Uranus opposite Pluto too is like, it's like cutting something off very unexpectedly. It might be financially. Unless, yeah, if anything, this is you cutting someone or something else off rather than something cutting you off. Because I was gonna say maybe this is like, you know, someone's parents cutting, like your parents cutting you off, or like something like that. But in this case, I think it's like you're quitting something, or you're no longer putting up with something or participating in something, or there's just some sort of release, ending, liberation, letting go, freeing yourself of something, etc. And it's more authentic to you. You're also having a very, very, very celebratory transit in literally a few days. And that's going to be Jupiter conjunct your natal Venus. You actually, I believe, had this last summer as well, or maybe like August, September. It looks like it's going to be... I'm so sore from sitting here. Oh my god, why is this so slow? It looks like it's gonna be probably the middle of May, like the 13th or 14th. It's gonna be conjunct your natal Venus, Jupiter conjunct Venus. Sometimes that's a pregnancy transit. That's a good day to get a scratch off, play the lotto, take a risk, a leap of faith, launch something, ask for a yes or ask for approval with something. Very celebratory. And then just a few days later, probably a week or so later, honestly the remainder of May should be pretty expansive for you. You're gonna have Jupiter then conjoin your Mars, which is like a surge of energy. If you are pregnant already, sometimes this can be the birth of a child, like going into labor. If it's more metaphorical, it could be the conception and the release of something. Like, okay. Thank you for clearing that up so I don't go too far down the wrong path. It can be very good. The reason it's a pregnancy transit is because it's an abundance of, an expansion of something very romantic, or of nourishment or celebration or energy. And you're having 2 transits, just one after another. It's going to conjoin your Venus and then your Mars. So this is feel good energy. It's money, it's relationships, it's joy, it's pleasure, it's happiness. And then literally a few days later, it's a surge of energy, of motivation, determination, discipline. It's like you get a fire beneath your butt to suddenly relentlessly pursue something that you really want. And this is in your 3rd house too, of communication. It could be travel. It could be travel for something. Yes, I am Kayla. It might say scam because people are sending to it. Like sometimes it does that when there's like suddenly people are sending more money to one account, but it is Kayla. It's the exact tag on here. So that's something to look forward to. And then again, end of May into early June, it's going to try and be in a very supportive aspect to your moon, which again, pregnancy transit, so be careful if that's not what you want. But lots of romance, a lot of coziness around the home, family, living situation, private life, your emotional world. Are you moving? Are you traveling? I did get it. Are you going somewhere? Are you learning something new? Are you in school? Is it education related? Is it social? Is there like a fun celebration you're going to? Is there like a wedding you're going to or something? Okay, fun. You're gonna have a very good trip. You're gonna have a very, very, very good trip. It's gonna be very good for you. And it might be like emotionally freeing and eye-opening. It might like be one of those things where it's like more, it ends up being more than just a birthday trip for whatever reason. Like it could be more impactful than you initially planned for. But that is some good stuff to look forward to. And then the other thing is, I know we talked about money and income. Once the nodes move into Aquarius and Leo, I don't know, something around your home, family, and living situation might start to detach or release. Like you might leave a physical property. There might be something where you have to create some distance with family. There could be a release of like old childhood stuff that's still with you psychologically. But the thing I wanted to say was that there's going to be a lot of focus and attention on your career. Once we get into August, September, you'll have a good like 18-month chapter of really focusing on your career, who you want to be, the impact you want to leave, how you want to influence the world at a larger level, your public image, your reputation. There might be more spotlight on you. And especially as we get towards the very end of that transit, which is going to be like the end of 2027, there can be a big moment around your career, maybe getting promoted or really feeling aligned in your career, really releasing something with the home or the family. Well, okay, so is the unemployment... Okay, so Uranus entered your money sector, like the getting cut off energy, in July of last year initially. July to like September, October. I think it went retrograde maybe. No, it went back into Taurus in November. Okay, Uranus shook up your financial sector last July. It went retrograde in September, so it started to retrace its steps. And then it moved back into your first house of self and identity in November. And then earlier this year, in I think April, March or April, it moved back into your second house of money. So is there any sort of pattern in that timeline of like when you became unemployed or money stopped or something like that? Because now that it's in your second house again, which is where it was last July, there might be a very, again, overnight or, unexpected shift or shock with your income changing, for better or for worse. But it's in a supportive aspect to your career. And then you start to get a lot of attention on your career at the end of August, beginning of September. So if you have any concern, it's also in a supportive aspect to your Mercury in the 6th house of employment too. And that will be more exact. Let me see, like that could be you getting a job through like a friend or something, or like a connection online. I'll give you the exact date for that. That'll be around, June, first half of June. So you might be at the tail end of unemployment if that's what you're hoping for. So that's good, at least you can look forward to that. But I feel like you might be really tired right now, low energy, dealing with burnout, mentally exhausted. But all of that will get much easier to deal with, honestly, as we make our way into June, like right around the corner. But I think that's all I have for you right now. I'm excited for you, honestly. I think the tides are turning in a better direction for you. I hope that was helpful for you. Did I have someone Zelle me or just Cash App me? Did I just have one more person waiting, right? No, I have two people. I have Sima, right? You're welcome. I hope that was helpful for you. And again, these get uploaded, guys. So you will be able to access them in the next few days. I feel like I look fucking crazy. Okay, I need the other half of this donut. I had... Oh, you were the other Zelle person. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, Sima, I have yours. We're gonna do Sima, and then we have Woe W, whoever that was. Yeah, I see it under her. And then, yes, I am still doing readings. I have one person next in line, and then we can get to you star emoji if you get one now. And then after that, I might have to get off of here. Sometimes I feel like I turn into a computer after I do so many of these back to back. And honestly, I don't even think it's my brain. I think it's the damn ring light that makes me feel like shitty. You guys know I can't ever stop complaining about it. Okay. Sema, you sent your information. If I shut this off, what if I am... Do you guys care if I do it like this? Because this fucking ring light, I can't. And if you really would prefer the ring light, I can do that too. Okay, 527. Queen. 1106. Every time I type in queens, I think of Nicki Minaj going, Queen. May 27th. Happy early birthday. Exciting. 2001, 11:06 p.m. Queens. Okay. Ow, my back. I upload the lives onto YouTube once they're done. Okay. Okay, you're a Cap rising. My mom's a Cap rising. Oh shit, what the fuck did I just do to my screen? Cap risings are having a lot of relationship stuff going on. So hold on, let me pull this back to present day because I'm looking at June. I cannot believe it's fucking May, dude. Let me stop cursing on here. No, I didn't. We didn't do yours yet. I have this reading and then I have you. And then if anyone wants after that, just get it now so that I can do that after and then we can wrap it up for now. Okay, Sema, you're a Capricorn rising. Relationship stuff. I said a lot of relationship stuff going on because in June, I had it set for June, and that's really where it's going to start to be concentrated in your relationship sector because everything's going to start moving from Gemini into Cancer into the opposite sign of your rising sign. But I say relationship stuff because you have Jupiter wrapping up its cycle here. So Jupiter moved into your relationship sector last June. It will be here for about a year. You're wrapping up the year of it being here. And Jupiter is traveling, faith, philosophy, education, expansion, opportunity. And like I've been saying, Jupiter expands anything it touches. It is like pumping helium into a balloon and it gets overwhelming and starts taking up a lot of space and getting very inflated. Hi, Leah. Oh my God, miss you, girl. Hope you're doing well. And having that go through the relationship sector, again, a lot of astrologers will tell you like, oh my God, you're gonna meet the love of your life. It's gonna be the best thing ever. You're gonna fall in love and it's gonna be super easy and you're gonna meet your soulmate and nothing's ever gonna go wrong. And sometimes it does happen. Sometimes it's like an engagement. Sometimes you do meet someone. If you're single, if you're in a relationship, this can be where it deepens a little bit because you're starting to learn more about one another and learn more about yourself through them. However, more often than not, I feel like this transit has a lot to do with introspection on your definition of relationships and redefining them. And this is, again, not limited to just your romantic relationship. This is relationships of all kinds, regardless of the nature of them. It's business partnerships, interpersonal relationships, people that you're close to on all levels, clients if you do client work. You've been together for 3 years. Okay, beautiful. And your family wants you to get engaged this year. Okay, so it already went over your descendant, which is usually where I see an engagement. It was actually retrograde at 16, 17 degrees for quite some time, like a lot of focus on that energy. And also I want you to think, this is like so random to mention, but for some reason I feel like I have to. I want you to reflect on like what was going on in your relationship from October 2024 to like January, February 2025, because we also had a Mars retrograde in this same exact area. And a Mars retrograde in Cancer is usually like things around emotional volatility, injustice, and very strong emotions, like for better or for worse. And you had it like in the same exact area of your chart on your descendant, which is your very, very closest relationships and what that says about your identity. And you also had the Jupiter retrograde hanging out at the same degrees these last few months too. So there's something prominent about that area of the chart that's like very relevant to you. I don't want to like promise anything to you, but in terms of engagement, if you think it's like around the corner, it very much could be, because you're about to have Jupiter square your natal Venus like literally tomorrow, over the next few days, over the next week or so, which is typically going to be an engagement transit. It can be a pregnancy, conception transit as well, if that's something that you're looking for, because Jupiter is expanding. Okay, interesting. Mars rules your family sector, so that makes sense that it involved family. I'm very sorry about your brother passing, by the way. But okay, interesting. That's what a Mars retrograde does. It halts things, it delays things, and it becomes very emotionally frustrating, especially in Cancer. But you're now having Jupiter come into a square with your natal Venus, which I think the last time that it was here was like maybe July, August, September of last year, like in the same degree. So if there was like a really good, exciting time around, I don't know it off the top of my head, but I feel like I'll give it to you after, because I feel like it's going to slow down the whole reading if I try to change the screen again. But whatever you were experiencing, I want to say August, we'll safely go with August last year. You already had the first pass of this. So if you were having like a really incredible time, or there was an expansion of romance or love, or even in the family too, because your natal Venus is in your home and family sector, like across the board. So this is your home, your family, your living situation, your property, moving in together if you're not moving in together already, renovating the home, making it more comfortable, making it more aesthetically pleasing, moving into a property that you like more, maybe having someone come in and live with you, a woman, a friend, doing something to spruce up the comfortability and the ease and the harmony within the home. I did get your Cash App, Sarah. You're having a second pass of that, so that's exciting. That usually is an engagement transit, but it can just be relationship and family or home having so much harmony. Sometimes it can be slightly overwhelming though, like there's just too much excess of a good thing, for whatever that means to you. But Jupiter will be leaving your relationship sector as we get into the end of June 30th. It'll move into your 8th house in July, which is then going to kick off a whole nother year of a lot of expansion and growth and abundance now in your 8th house, which is intimacy, shared assets, merging assets. So if the engagement, like it might not happen this exact week, but it certainly has to once it gets into your 8th house, because that's usually where the marital sort of dynamic is like, you know, what's yours is mine, what's mine is yours, and you start sharing things, whether that's property, whether that's children, whether that's trust, whether that's intimacy, whether that's you know, small frivolous things. It's just Cash App and Zelle. I do not have Venmo, unfortunately. Do you think you can tell me if this is who I'm meant to be with? Sometimes I feel like I'm not gonna say like, I don't feel comfortable saying yes or no, not because I'm like if I had a clear answer, I would tell you. It's not because I'm like, I don't want to hurt your feelings. It's more because I believe in like divine timing and divine intervention, and that like whatever you choose is right. Like whatever person or decision you make is the right one, because that's what you're supposed to do right now on your path. Like I truly believe that. So like I don't think I could steer you with more knowledge than you have of your own partner into like I could tell you this is the wrong person, and then you don't go through with it, and that's what's supposed to happen because that's what you're deciding. Do you know what I mean? Like that should be validating to anyone that's listening. I really think every decision you make is the right decision you make because that's the one you were supposed to make. Do you hear what I'm saying? In order to learn whatever you're supposed to learn. And you can't dodge, you know, what you're supposed to learn right now. If it's not through this person, it's through someone else. Like you can't dodge your lessons in your life path, which should be reassuring if anything. But with it moving into your 8th house, that really brings a lot of philosophical, spiritual changes to better understanding trust and intimacy and letting go and change and transformation. So sometimes it can bring a growing pain of like facing fears or like having disputes or struggles with give and take, or what is fair, what isn't fair, the transaction, like the inevitable transactions that happens within any close relationship. But Jupiter too is going to conjoin your moon. So if you're focused on engagement, it'll conjoin your moon, which again, typical pregnancy transit. So if that's something that you don't want, just be careful. If it's something that you do want, it's a beautiful conception window. This will be occurring for you. Let's see. It'll be directly conjunct your moon at the end of August, beginning of September. So be very careful around then. Let me see if I can get you an even more specific date. This can be really good for traveling too, for moving, for making a big emotional decision, for expanding the home, the family, the romantic life. It can also be good financially, but this seems to be something more emotional or home related because it will be your moon. It could be your physical body as well. That's why it has to do with reproduction and pregnancy. An overwhelm of emotion. Also, the 8th house is death, and that's not to scare you. It can be metaphorical death. But there might be a lot of shedding of your own cocoon personally. It's dealings with death. So this isn't to say like someone is randomly gonna like up and die in your life and that you have to lose sleep over it, but rather like it would be more relevant if someone around you, like a grandparent, was actively passing away and you knew that they were like working on a will or a trust or an estate of some kind, because it's usually the financial dealings of death and the metaphorical concept of letting go and release. So there can be an abundance of that coming up in the next year as we get into July, into next summer. But yeah, it looks like August 27th to like September 3rd is a really big conception window of like pregnancy, romance, all of that, or things like merging assets, signing contracts that merge you guys together, etc. You have the North Node moving into your 2nd house of money as well as we get into early fall this year. So there's going to be a lot of focus on building your own investments, paying a lot of attention. I saw it, Skylar, thank you. Paying a lot of attention to what you invest in time-wise, energetically, emotionally, what you make room and sacrifices for, really measuring what nourishes you and what takes from you, and auditing what is appropriate and fair to you versus what like cannot persist, otherwise you're going to be left with nothing. And that again doesn't have to just be financially, that can be energetically and emotionally as well. You're going to be having eclipses there too, so major endings and beginnings across the board with what belongs to you versus what still belongs to you but is also shared with other people, and vice versa, where you end and other people begin emotionally, financially, any sort of give and take, regardless of the medium or the modality of how you're giving and taking. Uranus also just moved into your 6th house of work, health, and employment. I believe last month, and you got a little preview, a taste test of this last July as well. So there could be some employment changes to the job, to your health. You have some planets in here. You have Saturn here, you have your sun here. As we get into early September or so, yeah, it looks like September, you're gonna have, and then it's gonna go retrograde, I think, but you're gonna have Uranus. Okay, you're gonna have Uranus come into contact with your sun. It's gonna be a conjunction. And usually when this happens, this is someone who literally changes overnight. Like, something is gonna, dude, this might be a longer conversation with you. Like, we should probably catch up in August, late August, but when Uranus conjoins the sun, this is when it's like when someone wakes up and they're like, I'm just done. Like, I'm no longer myself anymore. I'm done with this relationship. I'm done with this job. I'm done with this city. I'm moving. I'm quitting this job. I'm gonna be my most authentic self, regardless of who it pisses off. It can often be a transit that makes you look unstable, or where like other people are like, are you good? Like, are you losing your marbles? And ironically, like, it's the first time you're actually probably making like a healthily selfish decision that just looks unstable because it's very abrupt. But it might be something that's been boiling under the surface. It can maybe be a health shock, or an employment shock, again, quitting your job, or perhaps being let go. And I don't want to say that to scare you, but you might have the rumblings of already knowing what this is to some degree, because it's going to conjoin your Saturn first, which is usually someone suddenly being like, I want to break the rules. I don't want to follow tradition. I don't feel like I have to abide to the things that are being put on me and expected of me by other people or institutions or societal expectations. So there's like a brewing, low-key, possible potential crash out on the horizon, but that doesn't have to be catastrophic or damaging. It just might be very spontaneous. Like, it might be out of nowhere, and again, it could be because of your health, it could be because of your work. Right around the corner, just like days later, there's a big shift in your finances, your money, your investments, your tethers to other people, romantically, financially, all of that. Like, unless you have some sort of hesitation or you feel like there's a possibility you might like abruptly call things off with your partner, I don't know what else we would attribute this to other than your job or your health. I will say, not this year, but next year, I think like next spring, about April, maybe May, Saturn is going to conjoin your natal Venus, which can be romantic difficulties, like a very strong rough patch. It doesn't always have to mean a breakup. It can also be like a rough patch that makes you guys much stronger, but it's also in your home and family and living situation sector. So you know your life better than I do. So I can't quite put my finger on if this is like a familial thing or a romantic relationship thing, or the home kind of has to do with the relationship, or the relationship kind of has to do with the family. Okay, so I'm wondering if the overwhelm, the pregnancy transit we're referring to, so the end of August, Jupiter conjoining your moon, which is an overwhelm of emotion, if we look at this through the lens of like a breakup, that might make more sense, because the shock and unpredictability to the identity and to like the confinements of time and things that have just made sense practically up until this point might, like, you might suddenly just audit everything around you and be like, I don't want to participate anymore, like, in any of this. And that doesn't have to be bad. It truly doesn't. Like, it could very well be like the best decision you make this year. But this is that's why I say I feel like this might be a longer conversation, because I don't want to lead you in any direction or steer you in any direction when I don't have the full scope of what's going on, because it's activating like nearly every circumstance of life. So I can't tell if the dominoes are falling where it's like relationship affects job, affects family, affects self, or self, which then like changes relationship, and that affects the family or the home. Like there's a lot of things like bumping into each other here. But But you can expect at the end of August emotional overwhelm, for better or for worse, whether that's the surprise of everything working out and the shock of like, I'm getting everything I ever wanted unexpectedly, or the shakeup of I'm gonna decide to do the opposite of everything I've had planned up until this point and everyone else can deal with it. Yes, it's August of this year. August and September. And then the rough spot, romantically and financially, having to do with the home, will be next spring. You have Saturn and Neptune going through the 4th house of home and family in general. So like since last February, March, you had a preview of it. Again, what became more permanent this February, but Saturn through the home and family sector for the next 3 years is usually difficult. It can feel lonely, it can feel depressing, it can bring issues to the living situation, to the private life. Like it can sometimes bring someone to rock bottom. And again, that's not to scare you, that's not to say something unforeseeable and awful is gonna happen, but it, like usually you know what this is already. It's usually like housing issues, a family member is becoming a problem. Or if it's not with the home or the family, there's like a deeper unsettling dissatisfaction and like boredom. But I think that like covers everything. You have just such an activated chart right now, that's the thing. But it mostly is concentrated around your relationships, your home, your family. But then you also have Uranus, which is bringing a lot of spontaneous shifts to you, your identity, perhaps an authority figure, your boss, a man, your father, because it's your sun. It kind of rules all of those things. And then Saturn, which is also authority figures, people in charge of you, things in charge of you. So I don't know, I kind of feel like you like unexpectedly, at least in the eyes of everyone else, like give the middle finger to employment, health, or authority expectations. But you know what? Keep in touch. Keep in touch so we can kind of see how this unfolds, how it goes, because it's just one thing after another very quickly, so it's hard to say exactly how this would manifest because it's like they're all back to back to back. I'm not worried about you, if that makes you feel any better. Like, I don't think you need to like be at the edge of your seat. And this is the thing, like once we get to these dates, you're gonna be like, oh, like you're gonna know as it's approaching. I would say the hot spot is end of August into September. And that's when we start having the eclipses. So it makes sense that usually eclipse season is where things get picked up and put down very unexpectedly. But that's what I have for you right now. I think definitely refer back to this as we get closer to those dates so you can see what's going on. But I wanna be in the loop. It's so funny because with you having Gemini placements, like that's what I keep. Gemini placements need to expect the unexpected right now because Uranus is knocking on their door now. It was knocking on Taurus's door the last 8 years, and now it's Gemini. I think I have 3 people left, and then I gotta clock out, guys. I'm fucking tired. I also used to be so strict with the timing of these readings, and now I just talk and talk and talk. Like I really need to return to like keeping it short and sweet. I low-key make these longer than my actual readings sometimes, which was goes against the whole point of why I do these. They're supposed to be like mini readings. Okay. I have Woe Vicky. Woe W, I need your birth information. Oh my god. Okay. have to pee. I have to pee. Let me pee. I will be right back.
Big break, boys.
My God. Okay. Thank you for letting me pee. I have 2 more after this current one. If you want one, Jenny, I will squeeze you in. But then I have to stop. Like, genuinely. I'm at least glad that it's not that late. It's only like 9 o'clock. Okay. July 6th. Maybe I just needed to pee. I feel like standing up gave me some energy. 1998. 8:50. Michigan. 1998. Okay. Okay, girly pop. Okay, you are also a Capricorn rising. So I'm not sure if you were listening to the last person. I don't expect you to, but sometimes people are like really locked in to other people's readings as well. With you being a Capricorn rising, Jupiter has been going through your relationship sector since last June. You have a good year with this transit. It expands and brings a lot of wisdom through gained experience into your closest relationships. This can be long distance relationships. It can be meeting someone on vacation. It could be working with a practitioner, with a mentor, with a spiritual advisor, with a therapist. It can be dating someone who has to travel a lot, who is a different religion, from a different culture. It can be that you're not dating anyone at all and you're actually incredibly single and you're just doing a lot of self-reflection on relationships, what they mean to you, how you redefine them, and gaining a lot of wisdom through like reflecting on what has worked and what has not worked in your closest relationships, regardless of the nature of the relationship. They do not have to be romantic. In your case, you had Jupiter go over your sun, which only happens every 12 years. It's usually quite a celebratory transit. However, I will say I had Jupiter sitting on my sun for the last few months and I literally hated it. And again, that's because while Jupiter is a very celebratory planet and has a lot to do with expansion and abundance and personal philosophy, all of that, it makes you go through things. Like, it makes you explore uncharted territory. It gets you outside of your comfort zone. It puts you in new positions and new circumstances that you haven't experienced before in order to expand your worldview, your belief, like return you back to faith and practicing faith, and expanding your horizons, getting beyond your typical 4 parameters. So you had it over your directly conjunct your sun. This was a while ago, honestly. It was still in 2025, but it's probably worth mentioning because it might have something to do with your relationships as well, since it's in your relationship sector. But yeah, it happens every 12 years or so. So the last time you had this was probably like around 2013, 2014. And it looks like, let me see. Oh my God, dude, this computer is so fucking slow. I swear it's only slow because I'm on live right now. Like it usually gives me a break when I'm utilizing it normally. Okay, it looks like it was in August. Probably the first half of August. Yeah, it was conjunct your sun, which is you, your identity, your career, your public image. It's your creativity, it's your ego as well. It's also men in your life, it's authority figures, it's leaders, it's your career sometimes. So there could have been like a high point, a peak moment, an expansion, a big sort of evolutionary thing having to do with faith, philosophy, education, school, opportunity, getting outside your comfort zone, around that time last year. It didn't retrograde back to your sun, I believe. Actually, it almost did around like January and February. It hung out around 15 degrees. Your sun is at 14 degrees. So around January, February, even a little bit of March, it was still hanging out on your sun. So there could have been like a second pass of what you had experienced at the time. But let me stop focusing on that because that's like honestly not the most important thing going on in your chart right now. Jupiter does though rule your mental health and psychological sector as much as it rules your third house of speaking, talking, writing, communication, education, skills, reading, writing, I said that, communication, like your mindset, the way that you perceive things, the way that you have always done things up until this point in your life. So you might have had a sort of relevance to those themes as well because it rules those two areas of your life. It's friendships too, it's siblings, it's the thoughts that go on in your head and the way that you communicate them to the world around you. It's self-reflection, it's therapy. It's really understanding your limiting beliefs, the subconscious beliefs that you have, everything that goes on psychologically very deeply and like suddenly becoming aware of it. And that might have been through the vessel of your relationships. That might have manifested through your relationships. You will also be having at the end of May, your nodal reversal. It might even be a little bit of early June. You're having your nodal reversal, which everyone has around 27 to 28 years old. And this is going to be when the nodes in the sky are opposite of where they are in your natal chart. So it can feel like your life gets flipped upside down because the nodes essentially point to like your life purpose, what direction you're supposed to be going on in the things that you're supposed to embark in your life. So when you have them flipped, it can feel like you are pivoting in a totally different, like literally the opposite direction. It makes me think of when you go on a roller coaster, like one of the ones that go upside down and then it goes backwards, like it pulls you up to one end and then you're seeing the same chaos but from a different perspective. So it's a coming of age transit that everyone has when they're like 27, 28, and it's before the Saturn return. It's a precursor to that. So when people are saying, oh my God, I'm having my Saturn return, usually they're literally talking about their nodal reversal because they're only 27. And it can just be where shit sort of hits the fan and you're like, okay, life does not look the way that I planned it to look at this age, or things are not falling into place the way that I always wanted for myself, or the things that I used to want for myself very bad. Thank you, Jenny, I did get it. The things that I wanted for myself up until this point, I just no longer want. Now what? Like, now what do I do? What direction do I go in? So you can expect to, I'm sure you're already feeling that way, but you can expect to feel that way towards the end of May and then into June. And usually like a few weeks or months after this transit, you start to find your footing again, and there's like acceptance in knowing that it's okay to not know exactly what you're doing, and like almost liberation in being like, I don't know what I'm doing, and that's the good part, like that's the fun part. And it can invite sort of an experimental period in. But as we get into late June, or wait, I'm sorry, not late June. As we get into like September, late August, September, the nodes are going to move into Leo and Aquarius. So now the focus for the next 18 months as we get into late summer, early fall is going to move into your financial sector. So a lot of attention on money, investments, your time investments, your money investments, your energetic investments, your emotional investments, what you pour yourself into, what you nourish yourself with, what you feed your body. It's literally what comes in versus what goes out, fueling your bank account, fueling your body, fueling, yourself, your self-worth, your livelihood. For better or for worse, there's going to be a lot of attention and focus on that, and there could be some dissolving or separation or just faded endings and beginnings as well with what you share with other people intimately, trust-wise, financially, shared assets. Literal and metaphorical death occurs here as well. Death, debt, It's literally referred to, the 8th house is literally referred to the house of sex, death, and taxes, because it's the serious, more sobering transactional themes of life. But you also have Saturn and Neptune going through that 4th house of yours. So again, it's usually not an easy transit. You are a day chart, so Saturn might not be as harsh on you because your malefic bisect is going to be Mars. That's going to be the more difficult planet for you. So as we're currently speaking, Mars is also actually in your 4th house. So your home, family, living situation, private life, housing situation, your emotional world, what goes on behind closed doors, all of that might feel like a lot of changes are occurring. There's some frustrations. There is this like go, go, go catalyst energy. Maybe there's a lot to keep up with. Maybe it feels like you're rushing. Maybe there is some disputes going on with the home or the family. There can be damage to the home. There can be the need to suddenly pick up and move. But Saturn going through the 4th house, this is going to be a much longer transit. This started in about February and it'll be here for 3 years. Can bring difficulty to the housing, to the living situation, to the private life, to emotional crises, to family crises, to discomfort just in your emotional foundation deep down, like feeling lonely or depressed or isolated, solitude. At the very best, it could be that you like engage in solitude intentionally and you spend more time alone in your private life to really lock in and move towards the things that you want, do a lot of self-reflection, maybe therapy, things that allow you to unveil more subconscious, like deeply embedded childhood things in order for your personal evolution. But right now, it just like this particular month might feel a little frustrating because you have 2 of the more difficult, problematic planets both taking up real estate in the home and family and private life. So like at the very least, you might feel dysregulated deep down in your body emotionally or physically, or just within like what's going on in your private life. Especially because you're gonna have Saturn square your sun as we get into, I think, early June. And Saturn square the sun, equally not a easy transit to deal with. If it makes you feel any better, I'm literally right behind you and I'm gonna have it not too long after you. But Saturn square the sun can feel often like everyone hates you that week. Like it can just feel like you take 2 steps forward and then you have to take 10 steps back, one thing after another. Like your car breaks down, something happens at work, and then, you know, someone you're in a relationship with makes you feel like shit. Like it can just feel like things are piling on in a way where you're like, oh my God, give me a break. But it can also just be that there's a lot of tension, frustration, and pent up energy around your physical body, your career, your relationship, or your identity to some degree that is asking you to make a very sound, difficult, or sobering, practical decision, regardless of how you feel. Like doing what you know is the right adult decision to make about something. Toughing through it, like standing up, brushing yourself off is the only way through this sort of thing. The more you try to cut corners or cheat your way out or take the easy way out is usually where Saturn will like slap you on the wrist and punish you a little bit and be like, no, you have to learn this lesson. I'll give you the exact day that it's going to be. There's like a day or so where it's going to be exact, but I'm going to say a week because sometimes the build up and then the fallout to it can be what feels difficult. It's actually, my friend is going to be having her Saturn return at the same week you're having this. I forgot what I said to her. I think it's, maybe it's the end of June actually. And then it will go retrograde and then it will go direct again over the span of the next year. So this is only the first pass of what you're experiencing with Saturn coming into square with your sun. And the reason that that's important to know is because whatever occurs for you during the week, I'm going to tell you in a second, is going to be a part of a longer running story. There's a reason why you have 3 passes of it. The first one sometimes is the deepest, like, you know, like anything else. It's like the first time you're like, oh my God, this is really throwing me off because it's the first time you're experiencing it. But the retrograde one is going to cross back over into your sun. And then the 3rd pass will be the final pass for like 27, 30 years. Sometimes the first pass is fine and then the retrograde gets people. So it's just good to keep an eye on. But, oh my God, dude, why is this like taking so long? I'm sorry. I want to make sure you have like the actual date to look towards. Okay, 14 degrees. It actually looks like it's around the 4th of July. 20 degrees. is so slow. Dude. It's the middle of July. The middle of July. Saturn will square your sun exactly. So what you need to know for this, when you feel the tension building as it comes up, just remember Kayla told you to tread lightly, keep your head low, follow the rules. This is not the time to run a red light. It's not the time to talk behind someone's back. It is not the time to do a bad job on something you know you should be putting more effort into. That's usually where you will see consequences. If you're being a good girl to Saturn and you are following the rules and putting an effort and doing your job and taking things seriously, you might just get rewarded. So, okay, that doesn't have to be bad. Like, okay, if we talk more practically, and this isn't about like you doing something right or wrong, maybe there will be like a travel restriction. Sometimes this can just be external circumstances making things really fucking annoying. It's in between your relationship sector and then your home and family sector. So I don't know if it's something to do with like where you're staying. The exact day looks like the 19th and 20th, if that helps file it down a little bit. What else is going on for you at the time? You have Venus going through your 9th house, which is usually good for travel. Mercury is retrograde at the time. Are you going with someone? If you're going with someone, it might be like that they pull out or they cancel or they don't make it or there's a delay or a hindrance or an obstacle with them. If it's not including anybody else, there can be something with like the itinerary, the flight, the time, the booking, the signing, the paying. Like triple check every single thing you have to do planning wise to make sure you have a smooth trip now, because the Mercury retrograde can reflect that it's like things out of your hands and that it's like, oh my god, of course this is happening now during the trip. It could be bad weather, like it could be things that are just completely not in your control. I wouldn't lose sleep over it, but it's worth knowing that like there might be a little bit of tightness on you for some reason at the time. I wouldn't say I specialize in it, but I do love it. I do prefer like evolutionary astrology, world astrology, predictive astrology for sure is my specialty. Jupiter would have just entered your 8th house, so that's bringing abundance and expansion to assets, money, merging with people, trust, transactions, intimacy. Uranus will start to come into an opposition with Pluto for you, so that looks like it'll be at the end of August. You're going to have another pretty transformative, deep, intense transit. Uranus is shock factor, it's unpredictability, it shakes the table. That's been now recently in your 6th house of work, health, employment. So something with your job, with your health, with what you do for work, your relationship with your coworkers, authority figures, anything like that could be very tight. If there's something with like your boss when you go travel for work, or like someone you work with, there might be something where like work demands get in the way or limit you or hinder you or frustrate you or become an obstacle for whatever reason. And it could be like you want to rebel against authority figures, and that could be like the government. I don't know if there's like a travel ban or some sort of restriction. It could be like, maybe I'm just gonna go anyways, or maybe I'm just not gonna listen to this. Like there's this sort of push and pull against structure, rules, things put on to you that kind of keep you stuck or uncomfortable. But with Uranus too coming into an opposition with Pluto, this is a bigger transit that has nothing, like it doesn't have to necessarily do with this one. But this really shakes the table with truth and change, major like literal and metaphorical death of some sort, letting go, major release of something psychological. So, I don't know, maybe you'll get sick or something. There could be like a surprise thing with sick or like physical pain. Like be careful with your body. Don't break a bone. Don't try not to, come down with something. Of course, like you can't always control that, but Uranus coming into an opposition with Pluto on your health axis at the same time is interesting to me. It's worth noting at least. You're having your nodal reversal again, so where life flips upside down, and that's within your travel sector. But that's not exact. That's going to be more exact in probably June. That's interesting. Mars is also going to be conjunct your Venus and opposite your moon that day. what the hell is going on for you around this trip? The 18th and the 19th, it's exact, but I would say a week, give or take, in and out both directions, before and after, are like so activated and turbulent to some degree. Mars like it like noogies Venus. Like when it comes into a conjunction with Venus, it can be, in some ways it can be fun and flirty, like very cat and mouse, like temptation, bring like fun, exciting tension to relationships, but it can also bring like financial frustrations. It can bring like getting in an argument with someone. And then in an opposition to your moon, when Mars is opposing your moon, it can be frustrating and it can be emotionally volatile. It can be passionate with rage. It can sometimes bring, again, ailments, physical issues, sickness, illness to the body. And this isn't me saying you're going to have a life-altering illness. This can literally just be like you come down with something, you get sick. These are all quicker moving transits too, so I'm not saying you have something absolutely horrific on the horizon. I'm just saying this because you mentioned a trip and it just happens to be during it seems like the dates that you mentioned. Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to like see what it is when it gets closer, because if you didn't tell me that you had something planned, I would be like, you're gonna be fine. It's just a few days of like what seems like maybe some inconveniences or frustrations. But with it overlapping with something that you want to go very well, I'm interested why there seems to be some sort of turbulence. But it's either emotional or physical. So I don't know if it has to do with your actual body or if there's something external that happens and it just pisses you off and you're like, come on, this was supposed to, like, you know, that sort of like, feeling like you wanted something to work a certain way and it just might not. And again, that's not to say your trip's gonna get ruined. You might get there all in one piece and enjoy it, but like the first day of travel or something like that might be like, holy fuck, I can't wait to just get there and go to sleep because this day was like unreal. Especially with the Mercury retrograde, there's always flight delays and frustrations, delays, hindrances, seat mishaps, bags get lost, things like that. So try to plan accordingly as much as you can. Do what's in your control. Don't worry about what's not. We talked about Uranus. We talked about Mercury retrograde. We talked about the nodes. We talked about the eclipses. We talked about Saturn. We talked about Neptune in the 4th house as well. I think that we covered everything. We talked about Jupiter. I think you're going to have a very psychological summer. A lot of it in your head, which doesn't have to be bad. You might be facing a lot of fears. With your career, the thing that sticks out most to me, you don't have anything going through your legitimate career sector, like through Libra. However, I know that there's going to be, I believe, there's going to be a Mercury retrograde in the fall between Libra and Scorpio, and that is your career sector. So your career sector and then your friendships, your opportunities, things on a larger grand scale that have to do with like who you're connected to, social media, your friends, all that. Let me double check that maybe it's not a Mercury retrograde, maybe it's a Venus retrograde. Hold on. In terms of your actual legitimate career sector, that's what I would say is the first thing I think of, because Libra, there's nothing's going to be in Libra until we get into the fall anyways. But having Uranus go into your employment sector, employment and health sector, Uranus first moved in there again last July. Like you had a preview of it. So I want you to think back to last July and try to reflect on maybe how that's relevant, because it just moved back in last month, and that usually indicates shock in the job, whether it's leaving the job, changing the industry, something chaotic happens with a coworker, moving in a new direction, deciding to no longer work there, being let go, changes to the role or the position in the workplace, things like that. But that's a much longer transit as well. That's going to be something that lasts years. However, the thing it does come into contact with is in opposition to your Pluto as we get towards the end of August. So what I'm saying right now, you might be like, no, that's not happening, but that transit hasn't started yet. That's going to happen at the end of August, and it's a very powerful transit because it's in opposition to Pluto, and Pluto is like major endings and change. Let's see. I know I'm not making up that there's like a Mercury. Yeah, Venus is going to be retrograde in Scorpio. Venus and Mercury are going to be retrograde in Scorpio and Libra. That will be when your career gets affected, because it will be in your career sector as well as your social sector. Okay, so maybe the first half of the shock factor was back in last year. Like the initial shift was like, I'm gonna do this instead. And now you're just sort of adapting to what is like a new, because this is a new lifestyle, it's a new routine, it's new habits, it's new ways of helping other people, it's being of service to other people. But the opposition to Pluto, yeah, is like, we're just gonna have to see what that is once it gets closer. Even in June, it's going to be square your nodes, which is usually like a pivotal fated change. Oh, and it's on your axis of education. So maybe you'll finish yoga school, maybe in the summer. Are you planning to become a yoga teacher? Because the focus starts to shift from teaching education, skill-based knowledge to then money and income. So, okay, perfect. Okay, that makes sense. So perhaps this isn't like a big bad thing. The big change and ending is that you've completed something major, you've gained the knowledge, and then your focus immediately then shifts into finances. So now you've earned yourself a new income stream. Okay, that makes sense. Also, towards the end of July, if this doesn't have to do with the trip and maybe it's just simultaneously happening at the same time, maybe the Mars-Venus conjunction is you're just having a shift in your finances. And sometimes that can look like making a lot of money really quickly, or you set up something for your taxes to start teaching people, things like that can start to become more front and center stage. It's change at the end of the day, and that doesn't even have to be a bad thing. But I'm excited for you. You got some good stuff. And I really don't want you to think I'm telling you that you're gonna have like a shitty trip. Like, I really don't want to scare you. It's just interesting to me that there's so much going on at that time. Okay. When does... Ow. The nodes move into Aquarius and Leo. When? The nodes move into Aquarius and Leo. Dude, why do I not have it on here? Do you think you'll move in with someone? Yes, I'm trying to do them more lately. The nodes move into Leo and Aquarius July 26th. So that will be the final last push of anything having to do with distance, traveling, moving, location change. And the shift will go from location and education to money and security and building a new foundation for yourself. I do love readings in the sense of like focusing on you in love. I do not do synastry readings anymore. Like, I don't look at a potential partner's chart and stuff like that, at least right now. Hi Kenzie, hi my girl. But I hope that was helpful for you. I'm sorry, I'm like starting to slow down speaking, guys. I'm so tired. Okay, who is this next person that we had? Can someone come give me a fucking jaw massage, please? I need to get Botox in my jaw again. I'm sorry I called you Whoa Vicky, by the way. I thought it said Whoa B at first, that's why. Okay, I have Sarah Marullo. And again, guys, these will be on YouTube. Shit, my phone's on 3%. Hold on, I need to get a charger. A charger. Sarah Marullo. If I see this fucking MacBook wheel spinning on the screen one more time when I'm doing the simplest task, I'm gonna lose my mind. Hey girl. Okay, September 28, 1992. September 28, 1992. 12:18 p.m. I know. That's on 2% now. Can you get it for me? I'm not going to do it before I start the next one. 12, 18. Every time I open the door, Ace, I think, thinks I'm done reading, and I'm like, nope. I have 3 more. I can't wait to eat these fucking donuts, bro. I hate... Okay, let me be grateful for this laptop. I am grateful I have this one, but like... Oh my god, it really struggles. Monterey Park. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Monterey Park is Los Angeles, correct? That way I can just put in okay, perfect. Perfect. Thank you for confirming. I'm also gonna crash out when I put this charger in because it doesn't fucking sit up straight when it's on the charger, obviously. Okay. My phone was on like 70% too. Like I fully charged this shit in preparation to prevent this from happening. Hold on 1 second. And then I'll go grab the charger. Oh my god, please load. Guys, I'm so sorry. I feel so bad that you have to just like wait with me. Okay, let me grab this charger. Need my charger.
Get up every time I get up, bro. You're crazy. You're get out of my head.
Where's my charger?
Where?
my charger?
Who's not tough?
This fucking little blonde immortal was.
I need you to like do something to my neck.
Right, did you see some cheese or grapes or?
Oh my god, you lived the life today. Fuck off. Why didn't they invite me?
Oh, I got a little cup here. Like these things?
I mean, I do, but... Thank you. Oh my god, it's Snack Nation. Thank you. I feel like you're fueling me to run on my hamster wheel. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Alright. Let me do this before this shit fucking dies on me. I think I'm just gonna hold it. Which is not gonna be a flattering angle for me. But we prevail. Actually, maybe this will help my neck. Okay. Sarah Marullo. September 28, 1992, Monterey Park, 12:18 p.m. September 28, 1992, 12:18 p.m. Okay. We have a sad rising in the chat. So what I would say for you, well, you've had the nodes going through, okay, the most private area of your life versus the most public area of your life since January of 2025. So you've just wrapped up, you're about to wrap up the 18-month chapter of the nodes going through your home, your family, your living situation, your private life, what goes on behind closed doors, things that are more deeper and integral to your emotional foundation. And then in opposition to your career sector, your public image, your reputation, your success, and what you do for work, your professional life, etc. Straight out in a joke. Yeah, dude, all the mutable signs, like, I understand. I have a Virgo moon. preaching to the choir here. So the South Node is going through the career sector. The North Node is going through the home and family sector. So a lot of, usually against our will, having to refocus on home, family, living situation, rebuilding an emotional foundation, like from the ground up, and having to like recoil more into like our shell, not because we like aren't allowed to do well at work, but because we have to recenter ourselves and re-anchor ourselves like deep down, and have to let go of the need to succeed, win, CEO, hustle. And the difficult thing about this transit is usually like that's exactly what you want to do. Like you want to hit the ground running with your career, and instead you're like, oh, okay, I guess I just have to worry about all the deeper things that I would rather just not focus on right now. And you're handing the baton to me, because that's literally the transit I'm about to step into. So if you have any advice, let me know. But you're going to be wrapping that up as we get towards August, September, or late July, I should say. And that will start to move into the axis of your 3rd house and 12th house. So the focus is actually going to start to be on rebuilding your foundation in terms of your habits and your everyday routines. This is deciding, I'm going to wake up and go on a walk every morning. This is, I'm going to go back to school, or I'm going to take a new course, or I'm going to learn something. I'm going to build a skill. I'm going to start engaging with a hobby that I'm really good at. I'm going to start setting up my day-to-day life in a way that allows me to really express myself and read and write more and communicate with people more and get in connection with my environment, with my network, with my neighborhood, with my friends, becoming more social, sharing more of my thoughts and stuff. While the South Node is essentially saying you have to let go of the larger vision of going far and wide and running away and detaching from things. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the advice, truly. So the North Node too, going through the 9th house, isn't, again, saying like you have to reach. That's why I like giggled a little. Because, how do I say this? Like, the North Node lesson of the 4th house is realigning emotionally deep down, but perhaps you realigned through detachment. Like, honestly, I'm not just like gassing you. Like, perhaps you realigned by maybe for the first time detaching. It would be different if you're by default a detached person and this was the first time you had to tap in. So only you're gonna know that about yourself. But the North Node now going into the 3rd house is like, how do I take what I've recentered and now communicate it with the world around me? How do I share this with people? How do I utilize this to regain connection to the people closest to me, rather than saying, I gotta get out of this city, I gotta get out of this town, I gotta get a different job, I gotta connect with people who are cooler than me, who have the things that I want, who are far away, like no one around here gets me. Like, you have to not think that way, and this has to bring you back to like, I am a product of my environment. I am the way that I am because of these people, these places, these things. So how do I evolve as an individual and now touch them, give them the gift of what I've learned by engaging with them, by communicating with them, by sharing with them, by understanding them. And so that doesn't necessarily have to be people driven, but rather like getting back to the basics of your everyday life, brick by brick. And this area of the chart too, the 3rd house, is similar to the 6th house in the sense that it can be like, maybe, I don't want to say boring, but like it's very mechanical. Like, you know, every single, the 3rd house is everyday life. It's the things that are more you're used to. It's things that you're very familiar to. It's everything that you know. It's your mindset. It's the information you know because of what you learned at school. It's the mindset you have because of the way your parents raised you. It's the personality traits you have because of your siblings and your neighbors and your best friends growing up, you know, things like that. So having the North Node go here is going to be an 18-month chapter of recentering here, but in a nice way, like in an evolved, I'm in the same place but it looks different sort of way. And it's very social. It is a social area of the chart, both online and in real life. And the South Node going through the 9th house doesn't mean you're not going to travel, doesn't mean you're not going to have opportunity, doesn't mean you're not going to get to explore uncharted territory and do things you've never done before. It's just saying you can't prioritize and idolize those things because they're not going to give you the thing that you're looking for. The thing that you're looking for is right next to you, right in front of you. It's at your dinner table, not at some like members club in LA. Like, you're not gonna find what you're searching for anywhere else than like right where you're already at. You're gonna have Jupiter like simultaneously. the joke of that is that you're also going to have Jupiter going through the ninth house. Like, this is what's difficult for everyone with this transit, is the same place that Jupiter is transiting this year is also where the South Node is. So we're supposed to be letting go of the very thing that we're finally getting an abundance of. And this can be kind of contradictory, because it's like you might be getting a lot of, see, that's what I was just going to say. You might be getting a lot of opportunity to study, to go back to school, to learn things, to travel, to say yes to big opportunities, to get outside your comfort zone, to get far away from everyone, to explore new places and new things and opportunities. You don't have to say no to them. It's that you don't want to put your livelihood in the hands of those things, because you're, you know what it makes me think of? Like, this is gonna sound so silly, but it's also on the axis of like Leo and Aquarius, and it makes me think of, like, Leo is very celebrity, Aquarius is very the crowd, the support. It makes me think of like a celebrity being the way they have to be, like, on a grand scale, like in front of the crowd as a performer, and then how we love seeing like clips of celebrities like just dressed normal, or like in their home city, or like hanging out with their real friends, and we kind of like see the humanity in them, or like they revisit their hometown or something like that, where we kind of as audience members are like, wow, the glitz, the glam, like that's the best part, like if only I could have that. Where once you see them kind of get back to their home, their family, like, yes, they have more money than us, more resources, things like that, but it kind of grounds the idea that, like, at the end of the day, you could be the most famous, rich, opportunist person in the world. You're still going to be empty if you don't have those basics met of your home, of your family, of your comfortable environment, of the things you know deep down about yourself. Like, you might get all of these ninth house things on your plate. You can't find your identity or fulfillment in these things because they will lead you down the wrong path. You want to engage with the abundance of Leo ninth house opportunities that are coming to you, but know that, like, your true foundation and home base is at the basics for the next 18 months. Yes, don't let it define you, and don't let it own you. Like, you utilize the opportunities, don't let them utilize you, if that makes sense. It's going to be an interesting dichotomy, like, across the board collectively, but in your case, it's on the axis of, like, your friends, your opportunities, school, stuff like that. Basically, don't, like, what's the saying? Everywhere you go, there you are. Like, people oftentimes think, like, oh, I'm so unhappy, like, this city's gonna fix it, this friend is gonna fix it, this spiritual cult is gonna fix it, this new job is gonna fix it. And oftentimes the conclusion of that is just returning back to yourself and realizing, like, oh, maybe it was none of these things, maybe it's the thing in me. And that's kind of like, I feel like, what one of your lessons might be. Honestly, it's something to look forward to, though, too, because it does look like there's good things on the horizon for you. You should go back to school if you want to go back to school. If you're going back to school because you're lost and you're like, I need to stall and make it look like I'm doing something, and hopefully other people will think I'm cool if I get a degree in this thing, and then maybe I'll be able to be one of those cool people that has a degree in this thing, like, that's not a good reason to do it. We just talked about the nodes. You have Saturn and Neptune hanging out in your 5th house of love, sex, romance, children, pregnancy, creativity, self-employment, entrepreneurship, reproductive themes, pregnancy, all of that. So the funny conundrum, so Leo traditionally rules the 5th house, and in your case you have Aries ruling it, but the 5th house is being activated for you, so it's actually an extension of the same themes of Leo being like fun, joy, entertainment, creativity, happiness, like inner child joy, just doing things for the sake of them being like frivolously fun and providing pleasure to you. Having Saturn and Neptune here invite you to be more creative, do things that are more boundless, like not do things because they're monetizable or because they provide opportunity, or because if you get really good at this, then you can post about it on social media and maybe you'll become an influencer off of it. Like, you want to do things because they are just igniting a sense of true joy and pleasure in you. It's a really good time to explore hobbies, to return back to old hobbies, to be artistic for the sake of being artistic, even if it's not inherently good. It's also a good time to if you are dating, interested in dating, or in a relationship or looking for a relationship, a good time to actually take your relationships very serious while exploring. So you have the balance to be explorative and experimental, but taking them serious in the sense that you have like, you're running a strict program, you have important standards and expectations and boundaries that you're holding, not because you're supposed to be strict for no reason, but because it's going to set you up for success. And that's going to be a 3-year transit. You can also get really good at a hobby or a talent during this, or like become an authority in something that you're just very skilled at, even if it's not creative. Like some people are really skilled at like social media management, some people are really skilled at getting to the root of a problem with someone, some people are really skilled at taking care of people. Like there's something that you might be really sharpening skill set wise over the span of the next 3 years. You actually just had like a pretty difficult transit literally not that long ago, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. You had Saturn in an opposition to your sun, which is very difficult usually. A lot of you guys like just recently had rough transits with Saturn, and like you guys are fine, which I'm happy to hear about. I'm glad I'm speaking to you after it rather than before it, because sometimes it can be really daunting and intimidating. But Saturn opposite the sun is usually a lot of tension on the identity, the ego, the career, sometimes involving your father, authority figures, men, or people in charge of you for whatever reason. But it looks like socially or romantically it could have been a little bit difficult. It's a lot of pressure on you and feeling like, oh my god, I'm on a losing streak, or yeah, like I'm on a losing streak, I'm public enemy number 1. It is like everyone hates me this week, like literally just taking a big giant L, but it's behind you, you're beyond it, so that's good at least. The other thing I will say, I don't even think it's gonna occur for you this year. It's probably not gonna be until next year, but Neptune is gonna oppose your sun. And that can be a time of extreme disorientation with literally being like, I don't even know who I am. And sometimes it manifests as panic, like identity crisis panic, where someone's like, I don't know who I am and I must have the answers. In other cases, it can be that you are being so weird and everyone around you is like, does she not realize she's like different now? Like, what is up with her? And that's something like not even really worth getting too into right now. I would like literally check up with you next year, but you might start getting the inklings this year of like in the journey of finding out what you like, what you don't like, what you want, what you don't want. You might not lose yourself in it. I don't want to make it sound scary. You might fall down an avenue or a path maybe you didn't even expect, and then people around you just like don't recognize you as specifically anymore because you just might be acting a little different or looking different, carrying yourself differently, whatever. At the worst, I would say like if a romantic connection comes up on your path, not the time to romanticize them or get lost in it, so just be careful of that. It can be a time of rose-colored glasses, like where you are like, you really think you like are onto something, and you just need to be mindful that you're not accidentally blindly walking down like a dangerous path romantically, creatively, even like recreationally, if you're like partying too much or you're like dabbling in some things that some substances that can easily get out of hand. So just be careful with things like that. Again, really not even super relevant until next year. You might just get a little bit of a preview of it. Oh, hello. How did I not mention this? You have Uranus in your 7th house now. So kind of an extension of what I just said. When Uranus moves into the romantic or the relationship sector, you usually meet someone very unexpectedly that shakes your world and is very exciting but very unstable, whether that's their personality or their role in your life. And you have to find a way to embrace the excitement without allowing this person to rock your world and completely bring it to shambles. Especially with the combination of Saturn in your 5th house, because that can be serious karmic lessons via romantic relationships. So people can unexpectedly leave and enter your life. Any close relationships, this can be friendship breakups, it doesn't have to just be romantic. It can be falling outs. It can be a lot of ups and downs and just like chaos within the people closest to you. It can also be chaos happening in the lives of people closest to you. Like if it's not directly affecting you, it can be like your best friend is going through like a crazy breakup right now, or something like absolutely insane happened to your aunt. Like it can be the extension of like craziness happening to people close to you. But you just opened up a 7-8 year door that's gonna carry you over the next few years. That's gonna be a lot of expect the unexpected within the people closest to you. And that doesn't have to be bad either. Like I have a whole list on Twitter. I just got out of this transit of like 30 things that I experienced with this transit. Usually it comes in with a bang and it leaves with a bang, so people can unexpectedly drop into your path and shake things up, and people can also very abruptly leave. What else? I feel like there's something else I immediately wanted to say after that. Oh, it's been in your 6th house of work, health, and employment since spring of 2018. So there could have been some instability, ups and downs, unusual circumstances, unpredictable situations regarding your work, health, employment, lifestyle, what your day-to-day life looks like, how you take care of yourself, even like pets, how you help other people, etc. over the last few years. So you can apply the context of that being up and down to now that that influence is going to be in your relationship sector. And if you have any physical ailments or difficulties with your health, you will have the opportunity to start healing them on like a core level as we get into the summer. And that will be a very long transit as well, but any sort of healing, or you start working in a job, like some sort of employment where you are healing other people, or healing the concept of like work, how much you do for other people, bending over backwards, etc. if it's not like your literal job. But I think that really covers it. Into the end of July, second half of July, maybe a little bit of August, Saturn's going to oppose your Mercury. Sometimes that can be difficulties, limitations, or frustrations within friendships, romantic connections, or your ability to communicate. Feeling like you can't share your opinions, speak your mind, use your voice, or there can be difficulties, delays, obstacles, hindrances to things regarding education and learning, or within your social connections. And there can be some sort of blanket limitation or restriction to something that is typically free-flowing for you, like liberated and maybe not so binary, like suddenly having to become more serious for whatever reason. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to manifest for you, but I think that that's what I will leave you with. Take your pleasure, your joy, and your happiness seriously. Be selfish, be healthily selfish. Whoever you lose in the process of that doesn't need to be on your path moving forward anyway. Expect relationship changes for sure, even like fun spontaneity in the relationships, and embrace newfound opportunities, especially to learn and try new things, go new places, but recognize that your stability right now and happiness is going to come from having something stable to return to. Beautiful. I love to hear it. Yeah, it's always more difficult when like someone's already in a messy relationship. We're having the Venus retrograde in the fall, in September and October, and it's gonna go over your Venus, your natal Venus, so that might be the time when it next comes back. It's going over your moon as well. But Uranus, when Uranus went into my relationship sector, my ex came back and I dated him for like 5 years. And I never thought I was going to speak to that person again. It was very unexpected. It's very unexpected. And it was like a very unstable relationship, very up and down roller coaster, insane. And insane things kept happening. So I will give you the context that happened to me. But just be smart. You were born in 92. I was like 19 when this happened. So at least you have, you know, your brain's evolved more than mine was at the time. But it's good stuff. You have good stuff on the way. I'm excited for you. But I hope that was helpful for you. Oh my god, dude, like, the fucking wind in my ears drive me crazy. Guys, I need to stop talking so long. Like, this was supposed to be like 10 minutes. Okay, I have 2 more. I have Skylar and then Jenny. Skylar and Jenny. I've been on here so long. I appreciate you, girl. I'm glad that it was helpful. What time did I get on here? 6? Like, I truly don't even know. Okay, do I have Miss Skylar in here? Okay, I just need your birth information. So date, time, and city to the closest accuracy possible. And then I can pull your chart up. I'm gonna take this off the charger now. What the fuck is he watching out there? I hear like Catholic hymns being sung. Does anyone know anything about the body and why I'm having a blood flow issue and can't hear out of my left ear just because I'm sitting in a chair? Let me know. 2003. I'm a Cancer sun. Cancer sun, Scorpio rising, Virgo moon. 8/22. Is that Massachusetts, right? Everyone's always surprised when I say, okay, thank you. When I say what I am. Everyone always thinks I'm a Scorpio. I am a Scorpio rising. Okay. I have a pretty diverse natal chart. Like, I have everything in everything. I'm not very dominant in one sign or modality or element. Okay, Miss Skylar, you are a Leo rising and you're gonna have your Jupiter return this year. So that's exciting. Let me see if I can pull up the exact date for you. So you have your Jupiter return every 12 years. The last one that you had, I think, was in like 2014, 15. And you were born in 2003, so that probably wasn't the most impactful time of your life ever, unless something amazing happened. But your Jupiter return is a very expansive time. It's usually when things start to go very well for you. Everything's just sort of on a winning streak. You're doing great. And in your case, I would have hyped your place because you're permanently. Thank you. In your case, this is like a double whammy of good stuff coming for you because you have Jupiter in your first house. So this is who you are, what you look like, your identity, your life path. There's going to be a lot of expansion for you this year and likely a lot of spotlight and attention on you. People always know I'm a Virgo, I'm a big 3 because I'm literally such a bitch. Like, I feel like I have the bitchiness of Virgo energy. Pretentiousness, maybe. But this is really good to look forward to. In the first house, when I had Jupiter go through my first house, I made a shit ton of money. I looked so gorgeous. I had a glow up. I was the happiest I'd ever been, and all the anxiety that I had melted away. I also had a spiritual awakening, and that was part of, I feel like, my anxiety dissolving because I was doing so much work around like self-concept, manifestation, really, 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 truly putting a lot of effort, like a serious daily practice, so much time invested every single day on like focusing on exactly what I wanted, exactly who I wanted to be, exactly the direction I wanted to go in. And it worked. That made everything work. It made manifestation very easy for me because I literally made it such a large part of my life. And Jupiter rules those things. It's manifestation, it's self-concept, it's beliefs, it's spirituality, it's religion, it's your larger concept of life. It's being open-minded, it's being detached from things and just observing. It has a lot to do with education and teaching too, so there could be something with school, with courses, with knowledge, with skill building, with getting life experience or work experience, traveling, going somewhere, exploring uncharted territory, brand new opportunities that are outside of your comfort zone. Jupiter expands anything it touches, so you're taking up more room. You're literally getting bigger. Sometimes people physically get bigger. Sometimes people literally gain weight, or they get pregnant and they are like growing and nourishing something else. In a metaphorical sense, you can be pregnant with a concept or with an idea or with a new version of yourself, a new era, and taking up more space because you're just the hot thing of the moment. There's a lot of attention on you. There's spotlight on you. You're getting a lot of attention. It rules the your 5th house of love, sex, romance, children, pregnancy. So also this happened for me with Jupiter in my 1st house. There was an emphasis on like my romantic life starting to pick up, and it also rules your 8th house of shared investments, sex, transformation, shared assets, complicated finances, money, other people's resources, other people's trust, etc. So there could be some sort of relevance of those things. Perhaps you get to like have fun on someone else's dime right now. Maybe somebody else is treating you, or like a school is covering some sort of funding for you to travel or learn something new. You could be working with a mentor of some sort. But very exciting transit for you. That's going to begin at the very, very, very end of June, June 30th into next summer. So you'll have a good year with this transit. Gemini, you have some Gemini placements that aren't going to be affected this particular year, but will heavily be affecting your life over the span of the next few years, because Gemini, or Uranus, is unexpected changes, unusual circumstances and situations. It brings a lot of shock, unpredictability, pivoting, totally moving in a new direction. And okay, cool. And rerouting you. So Uranus just moved into your 11th house, which is your larger dreams, your bigger visions for your life. It's your friends, your groups, who you associate with, groups and communities and demographics that you're a part of. And Uranus entering into here usually looks like you suddenly removing yourself from a group or a community, or joining a group and community. And it can bring a lot of change and unpredictability to your friend group, your social network, even your social media. So if you share things online or you have some level of visibility, sometimes this can, you know, create a sense of virality, or you know a person who knows a person who gets you like an incredible unexpected opportunity. It's a really great time to network, because you do not know who you're going to run into, and they might be able to provide you with something of value socially, or in terms of getting closer to your larger manifestations. And that can be part of the fact that your opportunity is growing big time. So the first week of September, by the way, is when you're having your Jupiter return. First half of September is like the celebratory part of the year for you, for sure, one of them. It's also going to be in a very supportive aspect too to your Venus. So love, sex, romance, money, connections, again, very social area, part of your chart. You're going to be having your Uranus square too, which you were born in 2003. I think you have your Uranus square at like 22, 23, maybe even 24. I remember I had mine in 2022. And your Uranus square, it's just a transit that you have at the beginning of your 20s. It's a coming of age transit where you are starting to find your own authentic identity outside of everything that's been projected and raised onto you growing up, which like projected is, I'm not using that word as malice, like you only know what you know because of the world around you, the people around you, and the circumstances around you as you grow up. You're just a part of your environment, and that early 20s transition of the Uranus square is you sort of parting ways with the like default mold that you were put into, and now realizing you get to make decisions for yourself, you get to form your own opinions, you get to see the world through your own lens. So naturally, who you align with, what you believe in, and what you decide to be a part of might change in a really big way that doesn't maybe disagree with who you've been up until this point, which is totally okay. That's part of growing up. You have Saturn moving through your 9th house of traveling, faith, philosophy, education as well. So maybe school is relevant. You said you were moving, right? You're moving back. So there could be some sort of difficulty or loneliness, or like there just might be some sort of growing pains that occur with moving, or with the job as well, especially if you are like working under someone, you have a mentor, you have a leader, you have an authority figure, or something that you have to look up to or make proud, or something, you know, someone that you have to aspire to. Something about that might be difficult for whatever reason, and that could just be climbing the ladder of success is like a little bit more overwhelming right now than usual. There could be some frustrations with school education, even if that's like student loans or picking the wrong major, or feeling like your credits are getting messed up or something like that. In Connecticut, okay, interesting. I'm wondering Saturn is what's making that area of your life difficult. So I'm wondering if when it goes retrograde, which is going to be the second half of summer into fall, maybe that's when things will start to get easier for you, and you'll end up moving back to Massachusetts if that's what you wish to do. Because sometimes that retrograde gives us a break to like recoup and revisit the drawing board and kind of take a breather from what feels like, okay, this has been difficulty after difficulty. So it looks like maybe early fall or something. You could get a little bit of a break, or that just might be when you make the decision to kind of revert and go backwards, to go back to something that's familiar. You're going to be having the nodes moving into your first house and seventh house. So naturally there's going to be an upsweep of the south node going through your first house of self and identity. It might be time to start looking in the mirror and identifying where maybe you have things that you need to work on and let go of and shed, and how those things can sometimes show up as flaws or problems that affect your closest relationships. And in doing this assessment and letting go of these things, you will be able to build more intimacy with other people, because it can't be, the other person can't always be the problem. This might be a phase where you're like, okay, I can see how I'm maybe complicating this, or my participation in this relationship is like creating some level of difficulty. And then naturally the north node going through your seventh house of relationships is really bringing a lot of focused attention, maybe even like obsession, or just a lot of focus on the people closest to you. And again, that doesn't have to be limited to your romantic relationships. It's regardless of the nature of the relationship. It can be clients, business partnerships, very close friends, interpersonal connections, things like that. So there's going to be a plucking, sort of faded, multiple beginnings and endings in these two areas of the chart as we get into late summer, so the end of July, for the next following 18 months from that date. So it'll be about a year and a half of you getting closer to the people that you have relationships with, because you are removing the detachment to self. You are starting to shed things about yourself, which allows you to build closer intimacy, compromise, trust, partnership, rather than being like you and hoping everyone just does a good job on making you happy and doing right by you. You start to realize like, okay, this is like not a tug of war. This is a need for balance, and I have to be participating just as much as I'm expecting these other people to participate and sacrifice and compromise and all of that. So a lot of lessons to be learned in terms of the people closest to you. If you have any sort of career or visibility insecurities or vulnerabilities, those are going to start coming up as opportunities to heal them, but it might require you to be vulnerable or to take leaps of faith and fear as you work through them. Like, you kind of have to bridge the gap. You're not just going to wake up and suddenly like have the best career ever, or no longer be self-conscious or afraid of people paying attention to you, or like avoiding spotlight. There's going to be some maybe discomfort in like getting more comfortable with those things. But if you have any sort of like worry that you're not going to be successful, you're not going to become somebody, or you're not going to do well in the world, or you're not going to impact people, or you just don't like people paying attention to you, you don't like spotlight on you, you don't want heavy expectations on you professionally, like anything like that will start to come up as an opportunity to heal these things, because we're going to have Chiron move through your career sector, and that's going to last a few years as well. Saturn is placed nicely. Honestly, you don't have any difficult Saturn transits coming up. The Uranus square is the only thing where like sometimes that can just be really uncomfortable, growing pain, because you're literally coming out of the cocoon of yourself. Like, you suddenly don't want to live where you live. You don't want the job you want. You don't want the job that you have. You don't like your friends anymore. Like, you're just like, oh my God, I don't resonate with any of this anymore. And it's the discomfort of like crawling your way out into an authentic path and carving an authentic path for yourself. It's the cocoon to butterfly situation, but you will figure it out. And other than that, there might be some like spiritual disorientation. Like, you might currently be struggling with either what you believe in terms of spirituality, religion, whatever, or be feeling a little lost on your path in terms of like, what do I even want? Why am I even going this way? Like, kind of just going on autopilot with emotions and being like, is this even like, what am I even doing here? Like, kind of losing the plot a little bit. And that again will figure itself out over time as well. But sometimes that can be difficult, especially in terms of like familial expectations, financial necessity, like maybe knowing in the grand scheme of things, like what you want as an end result. Like, maybe you want a high-rise apartment, maybe you want kids one day, like knowing those things, but the path forward it's like you can almost only see 5 feet in front of you. So I don't have much advice for that. It just happens at the age that you're at. the first half of your 20s is very, it's like the discomfort of genuinely not knowing who you are yet, and like almost feeling like you're playing pretend in your own identity and like mimicking what you see and trying to do what works for other people and realizing it doesn't work for you. And then the second half of your 20s is you're figuring out who you are and it's pissing everyone off and like you have to be comfortable with that. So you're in the beginning phase of it, but it's still, I mean, experiment. This is the time to do it. At the time of the transit that I'm speaking to you about, why did I pull September up? Oh, because that's when your Jupiter return is happening. The nodes would have just entered Leo and Aquarius, but I believe they switched signs at the end of July. The nodes are currently still in Virgo and Pisces. And you're learning probably right now a lot about money, stability, investment, safety, security, both literally and metaphorically. I think that's all I have for you, though. You really don't have any harsh aspects occurring right now. There might be a big financial shift for you in August, maybe early September. And then as we get into September, you will have a renewed surge of energy and motivation and determination to do something. You might have a totally pivoted life path. Your trajectory might change big time, and it could just be via moving or via career change. At the very beginning of September, fall for you is it's a big deal. For sure. And fall is likely you coming out of the cocoon, out of what might be like a frustrating tail end of summer where you're just uncomfortable and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna crash out. Or I'm gonna, like, it doesn't even have to be a bad crash out. It's just like, it's suddenly waking up and deciding you're gonna quit your job, move to a different city, stop fucking with these people. Like, there's a I'm done, I'm over this sort of thing. And it doesn't always have to be through the vessel of frustration or annoyance. It's a very sudden break off, cut off, or dissolving of something. It can be a little impulsive, spontaneous, at worst unstable or catastrophic for a second, but then you kind of come out of that cocoon, and I think you'll find your footing. I think the way you feel right now is going to be very, very different than how you're going to feel in the fall, for sure. I think you'll feel more sure of yourself and confident and excited as we get into late summer, early fall. But yeah, girl, good stuff. I really don't see anything too difficult for you coming up. But I hope that was helpful for you. You're welcome. You are welcome. Okay. I have Miss Jenny. And then I'm going to fall to sleep. I was supposed to low-key go to St. Pete tonight and sleep there, but I'm kind of glad. I'm selfishly glad. I'm just gonna go right to bed after this. But Jenny, can I have your birth information when you have a moment? I need your birth date, time, and city to the closest accuracy possibly. And we can jump right in. This is gonna be a long ass live to upload. Like, it's literally gonna take 3 days. I really don't know what time I got on here. Does anyone know? Of course, don't thank me. I felt bad when I was saying that because I was like, oh my God, she's gonna think I'm complaining that I have to do her reading, and I'm literally not. I'm just being dramatic. If I truly didn't want to do someone's reading, I just wouldn't fucking do it. I would literally refund you and be like, see ya. So please don't think that I was talking about you. Grand Rapids. That's another place that I get a lot of people from, which to me is so random. I'm not sure what I'm being a magnet towards in Michigan, but I've gotten quite a few people from Grand Rapids specifically. 1:41 p.m. March 30th, 2000. Cool. Grand Rapids. So jealous. Wish I was born in fucking 2000. Oh my god, I'm glad that you were watching. I'm so glad people still watch that deep dive, bro. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Like, people literally still mention it, and I'm like, that shit was 4 years ago, but thank you. And there's been so many times I wanted to just delete it because it's like low-key embarrassing to me. I think I just got a blister. Okay, let me pull up to May. This house is so old, and I literally hear like an animal scurrying in the roof. Like, it has to be a raccoon or something in the attic. And also, I did not fucking know this until I moved to Florida. Like, there's obviously raccoons in Connecticut, but I've just never seen this before. I didn't know raccoons could scale trees and like run up trees. And it's supporting my hypothesis that there's a raccoon living in my fucking attic. Anyways, okay. Miss Jenny. You are a Leo rising. Okay, so similar to the last girl. You have, I'm like dead. Guys, I need to move out of here. I'm still in the same Airbnb that I moved into when I moved here, and I need to get the fuck out of here. Please send me like luck and love. I'm paying $2,500 here, and it is not worth that. So send me prayers that I'll find a place I'm better aligned with. Okay, you are a Leo rising, so you have the joy and pleasure of Jupiter entering your first house of self-identity, who you are, what you look like, your life path, your life direction, and how you're moving forward for the first time in 12 years, which is a very celebratory transit, very good stuff. You have a lot of your fixed dominant, meaning you have a lot of fixed sign placements, which is great because Jupiter is going to come into contact with each and every one of them through this transit. So we're going to get to the end of June, early July. I love Leo risings. I'm a magnet to them. And Jupiter is going to enter your first house, and that alone is like, woohoo, like winning streak, main character energy, attention's on me, everything's going to start going amazing. But then on top of that, you have the additional celebratory fact that Jupiter, okay, it is going to come into a tough aspect. It is a rougher aspect, but Jupiter is a benefic, meaning it's a positive planet and wants to give you things. It wants to be abundant in your life. It's going to square and oppose like a million different placements in your chart. So, excuse me, in order, it's going to be your nodes. You have 0 degree, Aquarius and Leo nodes. So this transit is also heavily about you because you're going to be having you're starting it immediately, nodal reversal right off the bat. That's where your life flips upside down. That's where you start to feel like, or wait, I'm sorry, I'm being an idiot. It's not right at the beginning, it's at the very end of this transit. So actually you don't have to worry about this until the end of 2027. I literally was looking at it backwards. In order of how it's going to affect you and hit your planets, it's going to go to your natal Uranus, then your natal Saturn, then your natal Sun, then your natal Jupiter, then your natal Neptune, then your natal Mars. So, okay, what's interesting about how this is going to go for you is that the order that I just said those planets in, they go back and forth. Like, in order, they go back and forth. It's going to hit a relationship transit, then it's going to hit a career transit, then another relationship transit, then another career transit, then another relationship transit, then another career transit, and then another relationship transit. And that wasn't me exaggerating. That's literally the order that's going to go in. And this is telling me there's going to be a tennis ball match pretty much over the span of the next year, that as we get into the end of June, early July, that is going to bring overwhelming expansion, maybe even like too much, like, you know, taking up too much space in your life of career thing, relationship thing, career thing, relationship thing. And that's so interesting. I wouldn't say it's like rare that that's happening, but it's so funny to me that it's like literally a back and forth pattern. Like, usually it'll be a cluster of career stuff and then maybe a relationship thing in the middle, but it literally goes back and forth. And then you end the transit with Jupiter hitting your nodes. So it ends with a giant bang, with a fated change or like giant pivot with your relationships, your closest relationships, your identity and your closest relationships. And then at the end of 2027, you'll have your nodal reversal, which is where your life feels like it flips upside down. It's right around the time that you turn 27. So with that being said, right now, you, for the last year and a half, so since the beginning of 2025, have been asked and kind of encouraged to release things around materialism, unhealthy coping mechanisms that you think kind of provide the illusion of safety and security for you. Wait, that's amazing. Okay, at least you have like a good thing planned already, like on the docket, because at least you kind of know like where you're going to be at in life. It's good that you have a plan. With the South Node, going through the second house, it kind of asks you to release sort of fears around security, lack thereof, safety, lack thereof, a sense of control and obsession around what you own, how much money you make, who you kind of have control over, who you can manipulate. And that's not to make you sound like a malicious, like bad person. Everyone subconsciously to some degree is like measuring who they know they are kind of above or influence really well or can get to do what they want. And then also everyone subconsciously knows the modalities of the things that they need to feel safe and secure in life, whether that's money, whether that's beauty, whether that's being well connected, whether that's romantic connections, whether that's sex, whether that's, whatever, it could be a million different things. But whatever yours is, whatever your vice is, or a crutch that you use for safety and security, might have been threatened since the beginning of last year, but also you've been asked to just release your attachment to it and instead learn how to lean into surrendering to a lack of control and leaning into trust and intimacy and actually asking for help and leaning into other people and being emotionally vulnerable with them rather than utilizing like manipulative tendencies to get what you need or what you think you need or what you want or what you think you want. Now they're going to move into that first house and seventh house. So there's going to be a lot of, again, attention on relationship building intimacy, trust, compromise, teamwork, being on the same page as other people and knowing that you work in partnership with people. It's not you versus others. It's like having to be like, okay, let's hold hands and deal with this in tandem. And then the South Node sweeping up through the first house is saying, again, where you need to look in the mirror, remove things that can no longer come with you, where you have to sort of trim the fat on your identity and where you are holding on to things and harboring things that cannot come with you. They're getting in the way. They're interrupting your ability to be intimate. They're interrupting your ability to trust other people. You are using this protective mechanism to keep yourself safe, so that you don't have to trust people, you don't have to ask for help, you don't have to lean on people, etc. So there's going to be a lot of lessons around that. You might change your look, you might rebrand, you might alter your physical body, you might change things on your body, you might sort of realize you're not exactly who you aren't who you thought you were so sure that you were, which can be a good thing. Like there's almost sometimes relief and liberation in being like, maybe I don't have all the answers, maybe I'm not exactly like who I thought I wanted to be. And it can kind of revisit the drawing board with the plan of who you were. Like if you're someone who's like kind of psychotic and like plans who you are and who you want to be and like your vibe, your aesthetic, like being very meticulous with those things, you might start to realize that all of that is like a bunch of hoopla, and that is the extension of you like using curation to protect you when it actually isn't doing anything but like taking up your time, money, energy, and resources, when you could just operate in authenticity, because that's what's going to be a magnet to getting the people who you'll be able to build that intimacy and trust with, because it will be an authentic connection rather than what maybe up until this point has been you connecting or attracting with people that you're like, they don't understand me, or they don't see me for who I really am, or I feel like they're using me, or I feel like they don't really know me or like me for who I am, etc. And it's because like there's a disagreement or lack of cohesion between the way you maybe present yourself as versus who you really are. And that's not calling you fake or inauthentic. It's a self-reflection period. There's just going to be a lot of introspection and thinking and reflection around these themes. Uranus has been going through your 10th house of your career sector, public image, your reputation, and your success since spring of 2018. I know you were only born in 2000, so obviously you're a little bit younger. This isn't something where you've had like a decade of career experience behind you already, but now it's moved into your 11th house of larger dreams, ambitions, vision boards, sort of dreams and goals, your friends, your connections, your social media, social network, who you're connected to professionally, the groups, and certainly how you articulate yourself. Like I said, like you have so many placements in your relationship sector. So while I am like, oh, it's your relationships, you're also likely going to move or have a very big emotional change or emotional situation occur. You're likely going to have some sort of falling out with someone, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a romantic relationship. Like there's a lot of smaller scale stories within the larger story of relationships will change now. Relationships will be front and center stage, and within that larger tab is like these more intricate tabs of like change, liberation, authenticity, home, family, living situation, fertility. Be careful with that if that's not something you want. Romanticization, wearing rose-colored glasses when it comes to relationships, not seeing things too clearly. Having a spiritual connection to people, feeling aligned, feeling like you met someone from your past life, feeling like you met a soulmate. Like there's a bunch of little stories within this. Think of like it's chapters within a larger book or books within a larger series. And then in the career sector, what's being affected is your drive, your ambition, your determination. It's opportunities, it's traveling, it's authority figures, it's research, it's furthering your education. It is guidance, leadership, it's authoritative energy, it's promotion. So all of this is likely on the docket for you, but it's one after another, and they like hand the baton back and forth. Relationship, career, relationship, career, relationship, career. It starts with your relationship. It starts with a cutoff. It starts with some sort of fated dissolve or some sort of fated separation to some degree. And then it goes to career difficulties and establishing yourself as an authority figure, being respectable in your profession. And then it goes to your home, your family, your living situation, emotional change. And then it goes to your opportunities, promotion, furthering education, guidance. And then it goes towards the rose-colored glasses, maybe not seeing things too clearly, faded connections, and romanticizing some of them. And then it goes to your drive, your determination, your success, and your changes in your career. And then again, it ends with faded shift in relationships. So it's a very long activated story, but that's like really the main heavy hitting thing for you. Like that covers a lot of it because that's where most of your planets are. You're about to have literally like next week a little bit of a difficult transit. Why is every single person I'm speaking to like having Saturn on their sun or something right now? It's literally happening like right in the middle of May. Saturn is going to conjoin your sun. You're likely already feeling it. If you're not, then great, because it's looming pretty closely to you right now. Saturn conjunct the sun. It's in your 9th house. So again, traveling, faith, philosophy, education, studying, traveling, opportunity, authority figures, cultural themes sometimes. Okay, maybe it's finals. Yeah, that makes sense. It's exact, literally the middle of the month, like probably 12th to the 16th. It's usually a high pressure time, and because it's education, that makes sense that it's finals. It's usually where you are restricted or limited in terms of comfort. So this is like, you can't hang out with anyone right now, you can't say yes to plans, you have to crack down, you have to lock in, you have to study. It's high pressure, high stakes, you can't be emotional about it, you have to be focused. It's very practical, it's very sobering, you have to make realistic and responsible decisions. Like that is very much Saturn on your sun, so that makes sense. Once it passes your sun though, you're good. So this is definitely embodying your finals because it's short-lived. It's literally only like a week at most, and you'll feel the sense of relief once that passes over. You have Neptune here as well, so expanding your education, your wisdom. You might have a spiritual awakening at some point with this transit. It is not necessarily hitting anything too directly in your chart right now, but it can absolutely, across the span of the next few years, especially once it gets in contact with your sun, probably in like honestly 3 or 4 years, you're gonna have a giant dissolve of identity. And that might be where you have a overwhelming spiritual awakening where you're like, you lose yourself and then you find yourself again. And that can sometimes happen overseas or traveling. It might be something that happens when you're somewhere that's far away from home. Or it could be if you are like anything cultural, like rediscovering your roots or dissolving from your roots. Like it can have something to do with that because it is in a cultural, foreign matters related theme of the chart as well. Maybe moving far away to a foreign country possibly, or like going on a spiritual retreat. It can be a bunch of things like that, but that's not necessarily on the horizon for you right now. Other than that, I mean, you have a pregnancy transit, so just be careful if you're actively sleeping with anyone and you don't want that. I'll tell you, it'll probably be in August, but it can be a relationship transit. Maybe you meet someone. It can be a very good thing. Just sometimes it does indicate like either a weight gain or a pregnancy or some sort of expansion within relationships. That's going to be right in the middle of August. You're going to have a Jupiter square too. I think that we covered all the major things. Yeah. But you have some good stuff too. I don't see anything too harsh. You have the Saturn-Sun conjunction during your finals. Once that's over, you're pretty much in the clear with Saturn. Jupiter is just going to be on your neck for the next year. Yes, there's a lot going on, but it's nothing yeah, you really don't have anything bad. Difficult. On paper, textbook difficult. I'm sure, of course, you'll have like difficult days, but in terms of like those heavy hitting transits where it's like, oh, this person's going to have a hard time, you're not having any of those. Yes. Well, so the pregnancy transit I just said could very much be moving because the moon rules pregnancy and home and family and living situation. So expanding the home can look like having a child just as much as it can be moving to a new like physical location, real estate, expanding your real estate. So literally smack dab in the middle of August, you might move. Also, actually, yeah, I'm confident in saying that because it's also in a supportive aspect to your sun in your traveling sector. You will, though, at the end of the year, in September and October, you're going to have a retrograde in your home and living situation, as well as your short-term travel sector. So there might be something where you do like a short-term lease, or maybe you live with a friend for a little bit, or maybe you do like a staycation somewhere, or maybe you go to a city to see if you want to move there instead. Maybe you visit a friend and you end up wanting to move there. Like there could be a little bit of a reassessment in the fall, not too long after you have the moving transit. I guess there can maybe be difficulties upon moving in where like 2 months, 3 months in, you're like, oh, I didn't realize this was going to be an issue or something like that, where you just have to be more flexible with your comfortability there. I wouldn't worry about people being able to handle it, but you do have Uranus, which brings shock factor to your social media sector, and it entered there. It actually first entered last July. And now it's here more permanently over the next 7 to 8 years. So now is the time to utilize that. I don't think that you will yet. Like you might kind of, sort of, but if you were to take it seriously and incorporate it as like a professional move, that probably wouldn't be until like 3 or 4 years from now. Maybe even 2 years. But that's when I think the rewards of it would start coming in, where like you could literally make it a job. This is a good time to experiment with it, though, to get comfortable with, like, people's opinions, having people's eyes on you. And having Saturn go through the 9th house, too, is a good experimental period for, like, having to learn how to be okay with people hating you and disagreeing with you. And that'll be here until 2029. I think post-2029 into 2030 might be when you really, like, even if it's not social media, the same area of life that rules social media rules like politics, influence, being a public speaker, utilizing your voice and your opinions on a mass level that affects people at large. It's just that the most common route of doing that is social media, but it doesn't even have to be through that. I just don't. I don't know. I think that's an age thing. I think it's an experience thing. When you first start, yeah, you care, and every like insult feels like it's the end of the world, but you have to remember if someone's moved enough to say something insulting, like they're kind of like low-key a little weird by default, because I would assume you in the same way that I've never hated something so badly that I have to like say something mean, unless it's someone who's like actively hurting someone or doing something damaging to society. Like Otherwise, you really don't need to care. And honestly, this year for you is doing a lot of shedding of the identity. Like, you're gonna realize pretty quickly, you're gonna have to pick and choose what you have room to care about and what you don't. And I think with what you have on the table, like, you're not gonna be able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, hold a lot of energy for people's opinions, because there's so many more important things in the plate for you. Good, you're stepping into that authenticity, girl. I hope that was helpful for you. I'm gonna save this video. It's gonna take a million years to upload onto YouTube, but it will be up there at some point, like probably in the coming week. So thank you everyone for watching. This was so long. I can't believe the same amount of people was on here, like literally the whole time. But I will hopefully be back on here tomorrow or during the weekend at some point. I need to move and I need a new car, so I'm probably gonna be hustling on here more often than usual. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching and engaging and trusting me. I love doing this for you guys. It makes me feel like I have purpose, and I love connecting to you guys and giving you answers. So I will see you guys soon and talk to you soon. And thanks for doing this with me, because I'm gonna get the best sleep ever after talking that fucking much. I love you guys. Get a good sleep, sweet dreams, and I will be back on soon.